Well, Xbox is allegedly refusing up to 24 requests from the FTC. The FTC is not happy about this. They are pushing towards a motion to compel, along with wanting to look at these other deals that they're signing. It seems like every day a new 10-year Call of Duty deal is being thrown out into the public by Microsoft, and the FTC is saying if you want to use that as a defense, we want to take a look at those deals. Now, I really want to drive home the real issue and strategy that Microsoft is trying to employ, and it has come out in the recent weeks, and it's about mobile. But I've got a lot to come over before we get there. I didn't want to just focus on mobile because this new stuff developed and I wanted to do a show. This is all the information right at the beginning. I try to do that so you don't have to watch the whole video. If you like these kinds of streams, make sure you hit subscribe and the bell button so you don't miss when I go live. So the FTC is requesting again, after numerous times, lots of documents and information from Microsoft. They are now moving for a motion to compel since Microsoft has refused the upwards of 24 different requests. We're going to look at the most important ones, I think, the ones that would likely give us the most insight into their plans, as well as what has happened with Game Pass and other things. I want to break this into roughly 4 parts. First, I want to talk about how they believe they have reneged on Zenimax, and they also want to look at crossplay, given that they've requested documents from Sony. The second thing I want to talk about is they want more info on the Nintendo deals, the Call of Duty contracts, these 10-year deals that are getting thrown out everywhere. Also, we're going to take a look at their refusal to search for the word cannibalization and to hand over documentation and queries about cannibalization of buy-to-play sales. And lastly, and certainly not least, I want to look at their mobile store desires. We have predicted they want to disrupt mobile. I've said many times, when is Apple and Google and China going to weigh in? Microsoft has all but admitted in ink that they have plans to disrupt and shake up the whole mobile foundation, and we got to pay attention to this because I think this is getting distracted from and hidden by all the hand-waving and red herrings of Call of Duty. Now, there's a lot to go through here, so we're going to do our best to stick with what the documents say. Now, before we do that, we need to look at the opening. This is the motion to compel, this first image right here. All right, I got a lot of images to show you. I'm just going to read this to set the stage. Complaint Counsel's memorandum in support of its motion to compel production of documents from respondents. Microsoft Corporation, a global technology company that owns A, the Xbox gaming console, B, Game Pass, the fastest growing game subscription service, C, xCloud, the largest cloud gaming service, and D, 23 game development studios that make some of the world's most popular games, including Halo and Minecraft, now proposes to acquire Activision Blizzard Incorporated, one of the most important publishers of video game content, for approximately $70 billion. Now, I love how they set the stage here. They're like, listen, this is not some plucky underdog. This isn't some kid starting a lemonade stand. Like, I'll just give them a chance. They have footholds in a lot of places. You should really consider the fact that if they're the largest cloud gaming platform, they're seemingly throwing that weight around. Some of these Call of Duty contracts are with a bunch of the cloud-based services. That was one of the concerns, was they're going to disrupt cloud, they're going to be able to control the cloud market. These contracts don't actually alleviate that concern. They might actually magnify that concern because we can't see the contracts. So we need to see those. We need to see what's going on and what exactly they're looking for. Now, none of this opening statement squares with this idea that Microsoft is the underdog and poor Microsoft needs help. People always waffle from two statements. Sony can't come close to Microsoft's buying power. Sony broke. And then they also say, just give Microsoft a chance. They're in third place. So either Sony's broke and can't compete, or Microsoft's the underdog. Like, you can't have it both ways. Like, people want to puff their chest out about a company. It doesn't make any sense to me. Now, the second part is very telling, okay? Microsoft is once again dragging their feet as a strategy, right? I'm just going to tell you, I think we should ask the question, why is this their strategy? But they're dragging their feet and they're not handing things over, right? More than 5 weeks, I believe this is on, this is still on this screenshot. More than 5 weeks after receiving receiving 32 document requests, respondents have produced only a smattering of self-selected documents in response and have refused to produce anything at all for 24 requests. So they flat out ignored 24 of the requests, and you'd have to ask why. You're not providing anything. What are you hiding? Right now, listen, I know companies are strategic here. I'm not acting like Microsoft is being sinister, okay? But they're dodging a lot. They're refusing to hand over a lot, and I think it's fair to say why. Now, let's look at a twofold element of them sort of reneging on Zenimax and, also their request for documents from Sony. So this part is twofold. First, the FTC points out going back on what they said. So image number 2 right here. RFP3 requests documents related to crossplay features that enable gamers to play a game together across different companies' products. For example, crossplay enables gamers to play Call of Duty on Microsoft Xbox to play with gamers playing Call of Duty on Sony PlayStation. Redacted. There's a big section that's redacted there. Microsoft made a similar argument when it acquired Zenimax, but subsequently decided to take newly acquired Zenimax titles exclusive. They're pressing on this for one particular reason. It's similar argumentation. They're like, you need to give us your documents on crossplay and what you're planning on doing, because the thing that people keep driving home about the Zenimax acquisition is, oh, it was a case-by-case basis. They gave themselves an out. How is it a case-by-case basis when as soon as the ink is dry on the contract, Phil Spencer speaks about all Zenimax property as being Xbox exclusives? There's no case-by-case basis. Go look at the interviews. It's sweeping. He's not leaving any room. Now, Pete Hines leaves room in another conversation, in another interview. I've got a video coming about Starfield. It's an upload. Check it out. About Starfield maybe being a timed exclusive. But Phil Spencer's not saying case-by-case basis once they own Zenimax, and that's what the FTC is pressing on. You keep driving that home and you're missing the point. The FTC is being rigid. They're looking for clarity and specificity, saying, well, Microsoft didn't lie. That's a red herring. Nobody is asserting that they lied. Nobody is asserting that they went back on their word. We're saying, you talked about crossplay. You talked about financial incentives. You said you wouldn't really have an incentive to do this. You were going to do a case-by-case basis, and then everything is yours once the ink is dry. Are you going to do the same thing this time around? It's a fair question. They are claiming, since similar argumentation was implemented in the past, we want documents, we want info, we want clarity on what it's going to look like when you get newly acquired property, since this is such a bigger purchase. This is not some developer. People keep framing this like Microsoft's trying to buy a developer. Well, Sony does it all the time. This isn't a developer. This is a section of the market. Activision Blizzard is a conglomerate of developers. It is not a single company, like one company making one game. Oh, and there's a beautiful display of logic here, because they don't want to give over documents, and yet they want to ask for documents from Sony. This image is one of my favorites. Microsoft effectively conceded the relevance of this topic when it requested documents relating to crossplay from a third party in this litigation. Microsoft's contradictory position is that it can seek relevant documents on this topic from a third party while avoiding similar discovery from its own files. Well, we're using your logic here. If this is relevant, if the crossplay discussion is relevant, then, and you want these documents, well, then we want them too from you. You're taking up a contradictory position. Give us the documents. That, in my opinion, is a very strong and compelling case to give this request, to grant these documents. And you got to ask, why doesn't Microsoft want us to see those documents? Why don't they want a regulatory body to see those documents? Because they could hand them over and request that they be publicly redacted, but they don't even want the FTC to see the documents, and that's something that you have to consider. The FTC also wants to see the new 10-year contracts from all these companies they keep trotting out. PC Gamer had a hilarious headline about this. Microsoft's fight with Sony now has it signing Call of Duty deals with platforms we've never heard of. They're signing deals with everybody. It's like, who are these companies? I think even one of the companies people called out and said, it's not really an ethical company. You're just signing deals with anybody who can hold a pen up straight. The FTC is clearly interested in seeing more, since this is being used as a defense. Image number 4. Despite clearly intending to use these agreements in its defense, Microsoft has refused to produce underlying internal documents related to these agreements or communications with third parties other than Nvidia, Nintendo, and Sony. Microsoft should not be permitted to introduce or rely on these agreements without producing the requested underlying discovery. That is fair. That's legitimate. You're walking out into the public. This is the pattern with Microsoft. You've got to pay close attention. They go out into the public and they grandstand and they make all these statements about contracts and deals, and we're trying to offer a great deal to Sony, and the FTC saying, if you want to use that as a defense, we need to see those deals. Are these deals compelling? Do you want to know why they're saying that? Because the deal they've offered Sony isn't compelling. It has vagueness about parity. It gives them wiggle room to do whatever they want with Call of Duty long term. The FTC is nailing them, in my opinion, on inconsistencies. If you want to see documents from Sony on crossplay, if you want to brag about contracts and claim that, well, these contracts are proof that we're going to do right, well, then let the regulators see the contracts. You're kind of overwhelming the public. It's a monsoon strategy of contract here, contract there. Literally every day of the week, there's an announcement about a contract. And I don't understand how Sony's the desperate one. I really don't. Like, no shade. I don't understand the narrative that Sony is desperate. Microsoft is literally throwing a 10-year contract at anybody who will take one. That, by definition, is desperate. They really need this deal to go through. They're willing to go to great lengths. You can see it. I applaud their efforts, but I don't think you can look at Sony and say they're the ones that are desperate if you really analyze what's going on. Microsoft is once again telling the public we're offering deals, and then they redact things, they hide things, they're refusing these deals to be seen by a regulator. To me, I am not faulting Microsoft for being calculating. It's a big acquisition. They should be calculating and careful, but they are clearly keeping things from view to help the deal go through, which should cause consumers and regulators to take interest. Stop bleeding green. One of the biggest companies in the world is trying to do one of the biggest acquisitions in history, and they're doing it all while keeping things hidden from you. Your brand loyalty won't make this deal good for you just because you like them. This deal could be bad for us. I haven't even gotten to mobile yet, so buckle up. The next thing I want to talk about is their refusal to search for cannibalization of buy-to-play games. This is something I'm very interested in seeing. A major topic of debate has been the impact of subscription service gaming on buy-to-play. Image number 5. This RFP 8 requests documents relating to purported cannibalization of purchased games, buy-to-play, by subscription services, and whether consumer behavior differs between buy-to-play users and subscription service users, since they said things in the public that would indicate that, oh, well, people on Game Pass spend more money. Okay, but do they buy the games? Do they buy more games? This dividing line is actually quite important. Even after complaint counsel pointed out that cannibalization was missing from Activision's search terms during the investigation, Activision refused to search its documents using this one term. Gee, I wonder why. I wonder why Activision doesn't want to search that term. This is directly related to and tied to Activision's avoidance of Game Pass historically. I covered this in an upload recently. They had to walk out and tell everybody that Diablo 4 would not be on Game Pass because so many people were asking about it, okay? Historically speaking, it's a matter of record that Activision has avoided Game Pass because they believe it would cannibalize sales. So it makes sense they don't want to search that word, because people would say, hang on a minute. Economically, you've had financial reasons historically and in the past of not putting your games on Game Pass. Is this going to be potentially damaging to the property and the revenue streams if you take something as large as Diablo 4 or Call of Duty and throw it on Game Pass? It's a fair question. It's a fair inquiry. You're trying to buy up some of the biggest properties in the world, and if Microsoft handles it in a subscription funnel, it could dramatically affect quality of games. It could affect pricing, because if they start losing revenue, they could paywall it up, they could raise the subscription fees. All of these are potential realities, not me saying that's what's going to happen. That's why the inquiry is good. So, what changes will happen once Microsoft owns all this property? How are they not going to cannibalize sales of some of the biggest properties in the world when they're focused on putting things on a subscription service? If you are going to buy this much property and potentially put it on a subservice, we need to know the relationship between buy-to-play and subservice gaming. That's fair. That's a fair inquiry, okay? And this is where things could really heat up. We've made it. The coup de grace, the king, the sleeping castle that nobody's looking at. Mobile. Their desires with mobile should have everybody pressing the pause button. Everybody be saying, wait, what are they trying to do? I cannot believe that Apple and Google have not weighed in yet. I have a feeling that they're going to very, very soon. Let's take a look at image number 6. This is from TechCrunch.com. Microsoft recently revealed in its filings with the CMA that its plans are to create an Xbox mobile platform. This will include mobile games by Activision and King. I haven't read the quote on the screen yet, okay? They want to make an Xbox mobile platform. Do you remember when I said they had the power to completely disrupt entire mobile markets because they could use the cloud in a browser and rip all of this property from existing stores? Rip it from the Google Play Store, rip it from Apple. That's not me defending Google and Apple. I'm talking about disruptive behavior to markets, revenue loss in the millions for other companies simply because Microsoft wrote a fat check. I told you they were going to do this. I told you this was likely the plan, and now we have it in ink. Quote on the screen, the transaction will improve Microsoft's ability to create a next-generation game store that operates across a range of devices, including mobile, as a result of the addition of Activision Blizzard's content. Building on Activision Blizzard's existing communities of gamers, Xbox will seek to scale the Xbox store to mobile, attracting gamers to a new Xbox mobile platform. Okay, this is what I've been trying to say. They have bigger plans than Call of Duty. Call of Duty is a red herring. It's why they're focusing on it. People keep telling me that Sony's the one that focused on Call of Duty. Yeah, because that's Sony's primary concern. Sony's not the one signing 10-year deals with a different company every day. Sony's not the one walking Call of Duty out and making it the center stage. It's a red herring. The FTC, the regulators, every regulator of every country right now should be diving deep into Microsoft's mobile desires because this is tectonic. This is Leviathan status movement. This is not one game. This is not some exclusivity deal. This isn't a battle pass or a gun. This is absolutely monumentally center to their strategy. Okay? I'm going to prove it to you. I'm going to prove it to you. Another quote from TechCrunch. Shifting consumers, this is from Microsoft, by the way, they said this. Shifting consumers away from the Google Play Store and App Store on mobile devices will, however, require a major shift in consumer behavior. Microsoft hopes that by offering well-known and popular content, gamers will be more inclined to try something new. Translation, we're going to use these really big properties, these really well-known properties to pull people out of those ecosystems. We're going to pull those games out of those ecosystems because their promise has to put more games on more screens. If you're still playing a King mobile game on your iPhone and your Android, you just bought it through a browser instead of their store, it hasn't left that screen, has it? No. But it's damaged another company's revenue streams. These companies should be very interested in what's going on. You're talking about giving Microsoft a significant control of the fastest growing gaming market that exists right now. I think it's only a matter of time before Apple and Google weigh in. Now, let's just get some perspective on earnings. Deke Tweak, we're actually going to look at one of his threads in the live stream. It's not going to be in this opening monologue. He said that Apple Mobile's revenue, their games revenue, Apple Mobile's games revenue alone is almost as much as Xbox's total earnings. No wonder Microsoft wants in on the mobile game, he says. Now, this is just another little tidbit from TechCrunch on the mobile aspect of this. This is image number 9. I'm out of buttons on my Stream Deck. This is the last image of the day. Microsoft added in its filings with the CMA, quote, mobile gaming revenues from King Division and titles such as Call of Duty Mobile, as well as ancillary revenue, represented more than half of Activision Blizzard's revenue in the first half of 2022. Do you see that? Do you hear that? Activision Blizzard, more than half of their revenue in the first half of 2022 came from mobile. Mobile! That's the point. That's the goal. We've all been sleeping. They are not caring about Call of Duty. Microsoft will give Call of Duty to anybody who will take it at this point. They want mobile. They want you thinking about Call of Duty so you don't look at mobile. Consider that for 2022, the fourth highest grossing mobile game was Candy Crush with $1 billion in revenue. This was what it's been about from the beginning. Call of Duty deals are hand-waving. They're distracting. Think about what happened with cell phones and the internet. Yes, think about what happened with cell phones and the internet. When big companies sense that something is becoming endemic to daily life, they gobble it up and they consolidate. Cell phones, that's daily life. Internet, daily life, mobile gaming will become an endemic aspect of gaming and daily life across the globe. In many ways, it already has become that. The question is, who will end up with the largest slice of the pie? And Microsoft is getting ready to grab its share. Let me give you my thoughts and conclusions, because this is big, okay? This is big. All right, number one, it is clear that Microsoft is navigating this deal on multiple fronts. On one front, they are handing out 10-year contracts to seemingly anybody who will take them. This is just inviting more scrutiny and investigation from the FTC and likely other regulators as well. Microsoft's refusal to hand over documents is not sinister. It's strategic. I get why they're doing it. I know why they're doing it. But it makes me want to know what they're hiding, because it's like, well, if this stuff doesn't want to come out, it's because it could likely be damaging to the deal going through, and they are avoiding quite a bit. With the motion to compel, we may get a deeper look at topics like cannibalization of buy-to-play, subservice impact on the economic structure of games, their plans for exclusivity with Zenimax and Call of Duty, because that was brought up once again. Hey, we really want to know what your future plans are for exclusivity with Zenimax. Number two, mobile is the real play here, and nobody's paying attention to it. With the size and scope of the mobile market and Microsoft's plan to make their own storefront, I'm still waiting for Apple and Google and China to weigh in. These are companies that have vested interests in the mobile market. There are big companies that haven't said anything yet. While it is easy to brush off mobile games and think they don't matter, many were dismissive of cell phones and the internet as well. And now look how endemic they are to daily life. Now look how dependent people are on those things. Now, I know games are not something that you become dependent upon, but it becomes an extension of your daily social interaction. And if one company owns this much that quickly, and they want to enter the market as a storefront, and they want to take customers away from the competitors, they've said that. They have said that. I'm not saying that. That is a cause for concern. Conclusion. More and more, I'm convinced that this deal is too big to just support based on brand loyalty. The coverage continues to obfuscate and slant things in a way to keep the public from seeing the bigger picture. That's another question you should ask. Why are these pundits and YouTubers and bloggers, they're not journalists, by the way, they're bloggers because they're farming AdSense, they're farming relevancy for clicks, they're glorified content creators, they're not press, they're not journalists. Why are they not focusing on these things? Why are they trying to keep you from seeing these things? You should be asking those questions. Microsoft is playing a PR game and the press and the public like a fiddle. They're playing you like a fiddle. And my hope would be that with enough time and scrutiny, this deal gets either concessions or blocked altogether. At least squeeze concessions out of it. Make adjustments. This has got far too many potential long-standing impacts on the entire globe to just let this thing skate through. I would much rather the deal get blocked, but it continues to feel like a 50-50 potential outcome. And sadly, neither outcome is very good. That's a show open. I tried to keep it shorter. I did. That's 24 minutes show open. That's 18 pages. I got to stop recording. I had another show planned. And then this broke. And I was like, so the FTC is alleging that Microsoft is refusing 24 requests, and the things they're refusing are extremely specific? Like, what the huh? Paulo with a $5 tip in the COD community. Call of Duty Mobile has been getting a lot of recognition recently, but I wonder, do those plans make a mobile store extend to the Warzone Mobile? Microsoft let it slip that Warzone Mobile will replace Call of Duty Mobile. They did. They let that out. You killed it, my guy. Thank you. Xanatos was 7 months and it's a member plus. Killer intro as usual. Become a member and support Lono. Yay! Let's see some thanks for a killer show open. Smash the like button. That's free. Hit the join button. Let's get the member goal going. Every 25, I gift 5. Let's get some coffee orders going. Come on. Come on. 24 minutes of hot fire energy and accuracy in reporting and more images than you can shake a stick at. And don't worry. Don't worry. I got more to show you. We'll look at that in a minute. Xbox gamers about to become full-blown mobile gamers. It's not even about that. It's not even about shifting Xbox to mobile. It's about entering mobile in a very disruptive way. Super disruptive. It's just like cell phones and internet. It's like, oh, we see the growth patterns of mobile gaming. Disagree. The mobile side of the deal is the only part I agree with. If I were the CMA and the FTC, I would allow King, but take out Activision and Blizzard. Wait, why would you allow them to do that? That's half of their revenue. Why would you still allow them to buy King, Hilly? What's different in your mind? Microsoft is canceling COD Mobile and replacing it with Warzone Mobile, almost like they want to phase out the current apps in the current stores and create a new app that's only in their store. Exactly. They literally admitted that. They admitted it. There's a quote. There's a quote from one of the documents. They flat out said that. Call of Duty Mobile's out here tweeting about a robust roadmap. Ain't no robust roadmap. You're getting shelved if this deal goes through, buddy. You're getting shelved. Hey, the first gifted member comes from Limitless Gaming. If you guys have been enjoying the shows, if you guys have been enjoying the vibe, consider hitting the $ at the bottom of the chat. Gift a member or become a member. It helps me do what I do. We should also have 200 likes. We have almost 600 people here, so let's smash the dickens out of that thumbs up button, and I want to know what you guys think about this. Thank you so much for 18 months, Zinthos. Welcome back. Good morning. Hope you and the fam are well. I also just want to say this at the very beginning, because a lot of the people that are here are very loyal to the show. A lot of the people that are here watch and support the show and have for a very long time. I do not want this channel to turn into a let's talk about the Activision deal. I have another show that I had planned, and I had to shelve it because this was too big to ignore. I would look stupid to be like, yeah, we're going to cover this deal with truth and accuracy, and then this thing breaks, and to, like, ignore it. I'm ignoring you guys on the Tickety Talk. Colby sending fire, roses, and some cat paws. Thank you so much for doing that, Colby. Oh, wait, why can't I get the big chat? There's the big chat. Xbox wants to kill Sony exclusives at the same time. Hilly says, Apple and Google profit out off the back of mobile and do next to nothing for that revenue. The market is terrible at best. New people should be allowed to enter the mobile market to fix it. Hilly, do you honestly think Microsoft is gonna be any different? Like, look at their strategy. We're gonna buy up a portion of the market and we're gonna violently enter the market with our own mobile space. Right? We're gonna violently enter the mobile space and literally take customers from these other people. That's their strategy. Like, doesn't that make anybody say, that doesn't cause you pause at all? You're just cool with that? You're cool with one of the biggest companies in the world saying, yeah, we want to do a $70 billion acquisition, and part of our strategy is to take those customers over there. We're going to take them. Huh? Huh? Hollow with a $5 tip. Call of Duty Mobile recently confirmed that they're here to stay, but if this deal goes through, they do not have power over that decision. Microsoft has something planned. There is an official document from one of the CMA filings where Microsoft quite literally said Call of Duty Mobile will be replaced by Warzone. They said it. That's the plan. No, but more players, more competition. How else do you take on Google and Apple? Several people loved your shirt today. If you guys like my Sub-Zero shirt, this comes from the video game collection over there at 80s Tees. If you go to 80stees.com, just remember to use code LONO. It'll get you 30% off. What's up, Lono? What's up, Piggy Master? They're going to do this with mobile like they have done with Windows and Office, and you want that? Yo, T. Grimm's going to gift a membership. Thank you so much. That's 2 members on the day. Getting a little gifted member train going. You guys can become a member all on your own. Shadow gets the membership. Apple making the most on gaming without making a game is a market failure, in my opinion. Okay, hang on. I gotta figure this one out, Hilly. I gotta figure this one out. Do the people that make the movies make the most off the movie? Like, or does the companies that distribute the movies do? I actually don't know how that breaks down. I'm genuinely asking. Like, is that a mark of a fair and balanced market? Isn't that typically how it goes? Isn't that typically how it goes? The big owners and the big distributors make all the money. I don't know if you can disrupt that, because I think that's like part and parcel to the structure of business, is it not? You can't have a distributor of something and act like they're not going to make more money than the person that makes it. This is meant to be persuasive motion, says Zubair. It's going to describe events in a way that isn't fair and balanced. Reading it now. Doom with a $5 tip. Phil said Xbox is not tenable without mobile, but will shut their gaming division down if they don't get a mobile presence. Oh, you're saying they're going to shut their mobile... Oh, I see. I could see that, Doom. Thank you, T-Grim, for 10 months. Best stream, best chat, best Lono. Thank you, T-Grim, for renewing your membership, doing a membership plus, almost an entire year, and for gifting. If you guys have never been here before, hit subscribe so you can talk in my chat. I am not anti-Xbox. I am anti this deal. It's like music, Lono. The artists make a fraction of what the labels do. I work for a manufacturer, and the distributor always makes less than the manufacturer. Okay, but in that industry, sure, but in the creative industry, in music and television shows and movies and in video games, I don't know. I mean, think about the publisher-developer relationship. Like, if we really want to break down the economic structure of video games, I am not at all defending Apple and Google. I am not. I am saying... it should concern you that a company of Microsoft's size is going to do something like this. That's not necessarily a win. Like, let's just imagine that Google and Apple are terrible and evil and they need to be taken down. I don't know if this is the way to do it. Right? It's like hiring a mobster to take out a gang. Wait a minute, you just got into cahoots with a mobster. Yes, the gang is bad, but do you see what I'm saying? This isn't necessarily good. East Coast Overlord with a gifted membership. Thank you so much. They have the means, they have the money, they have the infrastructure to completely take over that portion of the market if they wanted to. And also, we did this with cell phone companies. We did this with internet. We let big companies gobble up and consolidate. Apple and Google did what they did to get where they are. Now, there's probably a history of them gobbling things up. I don't actually know. I've never researched the history of the Apple Store. I've never researched the history of the Google Play Store. Did they gobble up other companies, or did they create a very, very large infrastructure and storefront that if you want to be on it, you use them? YouTube gets 30% of every dollar that you give me. YouTube built a platform that gives me a reach I'd never have on my own. Don't you see how that works? I am not defending Apple and Google. I'm saying there's a big difference between Google and Apple creating an endemic storefront that is so far-reaching that they take their cut if you want to use it. Steam does the same thing. Steam is basically the only PC gaming market. Is anybody crying about that? You get so many games. Game companies can enter that platform and get amazing distribution opportunities and spread. That's not what Microsoft is trying to do. Microsoft is not trying to build their own storefront. They're trying to steal it. They're trying to say, hey, we can't build a mobile storefront on our own. They could. They could build their own mobile storefront. They could pay their own developers. They could invest in their own properties and create mobile games and try to win people over. That's not what they're trying to do. They're trying to buy a portion of the market to launch their store. That is not the same at all. That's not the same. They're not equivalent. And again, I'm not defending Apple and Google. They have their own issues. They have their own things. They're getting sued for all kind of stuff left and right. They have to answer for all kind of things that they've done. But their storefronts, that's not how they did their storefronts. So Apple makes a phone that's super popular. The iPhone is industry disrupting. It becomes a freaking monsoon hit. Consumer demand is crazy. And over the years, they foster an app store, a store where people can buy mobile applications and games. And as that grows, obviously, they start making crazy money because cell phones become endemic to daily life and mobile games are attached to that. That's not what this is. Microsoft's not entering the market with their own technology and their own storefront and growing organically. They want to buy their way in. That's not the same. This is a moral thing? I never said it was a moral thing. You're just morally against it? No, you're entering morals into the picture. I haven't said anything about metaphysical realities, morality, right, wrong, evil. I've not said anything. You're projecting that onto me. Yo, good morning, Feed. I see you in the chat. It's so weird. In the big chat mode, Goddess, you pin a comment and I can't see it. What are we talking about? We are talking about the latest information coming out from the Xbox Activision deal. Microsoft refusing 24 different requests from the FTC. The FTC is moving for a motion to compel. Metaphysics is not the philosophical study of morality. I didn't say it was, but morality is a metaphysical reality. Like, I didn't make any mention of metaphysical realities, realities outside of business, right, wrong, truth. Those are metaphysical realities, right? Metaphysical, above the physical realm. They're not physically. I was talking pure business. From a business perspective, like, Apple and Google bought excessive portions of the market, bro. Okay, and like I said, I've not researched that enough to know how much Apple and Google bought to get where they are. They grew their storefronts organically for a while, and then they probably started gobbling stuff up because they saw where everything was going. Did they do any acquisitions of this size? Who did Apple buy that's even close to the size of King Mobile? Who did Google buy that's even close to the size of King Mobile? I'm genuinely interested. I am. Because I feel like that would have been pretty big news. I don't remember seeing that anywhere. Now, I don't really cover mobile gaming, so maybe that's why I didn't see it. This reads like Microsoft is being extra difficult. Again, we'll need to see the opposition motion. Yeah, that's why I put a question mark, Zubair. Like, they refused the FTC. The FTC is alleging that these things have been refused. So I'm leaving room for Microsoft to come back and say, well, this isn't true. We gave you guys all this stuff. Like, I don't think that's going to happen. I think Microsoft is being strategic. They're dragging their feet. They're being withholding. They're being strategic. Sony has also rejected or hasn't given FTC documents. FTC had the opportunity to be educated on the deal, and they chose to deny it after being in a meeting with Microsoft for like 10 minutes. I'm not sure what Sony has declined. Sony appealed one of the requests, and the judge sided with Sony because Microsoft wanted to see their performance reviews, and the judge agreed with them. Hollow with a $5 tip. Xbox is begging for 10-year contracts from anyone but people... from anyone, but people complain about Sony because they don't want Xbox to walk all over them in terms of contracts. Maxwell with a $5 tip. I do think after this document came out, Apple and Google will enter the battle and the good stuff will happen. You know what's funny about the mobile stuff? It's that Microsoft stated the mobile stuff like back in October. Their desire for a mobile store, it's not even brand new. That blew me away. I was like, why are Apple and Google being so quiet? You bet Apple's already in the fight. Apple doesn't really get public unless they have to. And a market with two sharks by adding a third. Hilly says, I think a market requires the ability for new players to enter the market. The trouble with Google and Apple, a large acquisition to start makes sense to me. I don't think you unfairly disrupt a market with two sharks by adding a third. I'm not arguing from fairness, Hilly. Right? The judge is a pony. Yeah, that's intellectual. Sure. Yeah. Mm-hmm. He's a pony. Mm-hmm. But a judge at that level of oversight and jurisdiction is a pony. That's such a compelling argument. They sided with one. The most subpoena was agreed upon. Yeah, I didn't say that I said that Sony pushed back on the subpoena for reviews or performance reviews, and the judge sided with them. That's all I said. The judge also said, no, you got to give this other stuff. And Microsoft quite literally gets bodied by the FTC, in my opinion. I think this is a body right here. They're saying, shot number 3, Microsoft effectively conceded the relevance of this topic when it requested documents relating to crossplay from a third party in this litigation. So Microsoft has opened up the doors for being like, oh yeah, crossplay is an important discussion. Oh, you were joking about the son being a pony. I was the judge being a pony. I'm like, get the frick out of here. Apple's largest acquisition was Beats Electronics for $3 billion. Nothing to do with their app store, but that's been the biggest. Do you see the difference? See? Like, Apple and Google bought excessive portions of the market, bro. They're getting sued for monopolistic behavior. Okay, if Apple and Google get sued for monopolistic behavior, we'll see what comes of that. I'm always interested to see what actually comes from the actual court cases, because there was a court case in what the Swiss circuit courts or whatever it was, where they were like claiming that Sony was doing something anti-consumer or something. I don't even know. Yeah, and which market are you talking about? We're talking about mobile. If Apple's largest acquisition was Beats Electronics for $3 billion, they've not done anything to the scale that Microsoft is trying to do. That's not even close. AOZ with 8 months in a VIP gold. Microsoft creating a storefront and circumventing an app store is like competing chefs selling food in your physical restaurant. It's ridiculous. Member up, guys. Best show on YouTube. I appreciate that. If you guys want to support the show directly, the best way to do it is to click the $ and become a member. If Microsoft achieves becoming the largest platform of games, could the shift be devs have to pay Microsoft to enter their mighty service instead of what we have now, you need me, pay me? Apple, Google, and BlackBerry created the smartphone market. Guess who bought BlackBerry? And in the new Sony documents, they state Game Pass games are basically exclusive, and also they're saying they would raise the price of COD on PlayStation. Once again, JC, you are misrepresenting. I looked at those direct quotes this morning. You guys always do this. You pro Xbox guys always switch the words around. I'm serious. I'm serious. You're being dishonest. That's not honest. They didn't say that they would raise the price. They're saying they could. They're saying you could do this. You guys keep doing that. I'm not debating with you anymore. When you come in and you say things that aren't accurate, I'm just going to say, that's not accurate, directly quote it, or I'm not talking to you. That's my new response to people that just come in and lie. I'm done with you. You don't get up to the table or the microphone with lies. I'm done. You're cut off until you decide to state things accurately. Big Z with a month. How do companies take down a mono-duopoly then if they aren't allowed to make disruption to change? Okay. You're essentially justifying a bad thing to get rid of a bad thing, right? That's not the course of action we should be taking. We should be using court systems, FTC, investigations. If Google and Apple are being investigated and sued right now, why don't we let that met out? Like, what, you think Microsoft is the hero here? See, that's just so doe-eyed. Like, that's just that doe-eyed thing of like, Microsoft's going to save us. No, they're not. They're going to do the same thing all the other big companies do. They're going to buy up their portion of the market, and then what, 3 silos in the mobile market? That's not much different than the 3 silos we have in cell phones, or the silos that we have in television, or the silos we have in streaming television and movie services. They're all siloing up. That's not good for us, because they can control the prices, and they can, and then the value of the content, the value of the infrastructure. None of it has to improve. The FTC wants to take on Apple and Google. That's what blows my mind. It's like the FTC is saying, we want to take this on. We want to address this. And you're like, nah, we're going to let Microsoft do it. Let Microsoft spend $70 billion. They'll save us. What makes Microsoft different than Apple and Google aside from your like of them? Walk it out for me. Seriously. Compel me. Convince me. Why do you think Microsoft, at the size that they are, why are they different than Apple and Google? Why? Why are they messianic in your mind? You like them. That's a given. We can see that plain as day. What makes them so different than Apple and Google? What? Yo, Smiley's gonna gift 10 members, taking us to 13 on the day. So much support lately. I think we're like 300 members away from the Just Dance stream. If your name is in chat right now getting a membership, man, make sure you get into our members-only Discord. We're going to be doing a Friday night stream with Diablo, the beta, and then we're doing a Star Wars watch party on Saturday night. I don't think Microsoft are the heroes in this story, but market disruption in mobile gaming is required. I agree there may be better options, but it's still a market, and Microsoft wants to move into the market. Yes, but that does not justify the acquisition. In SIE's view, here are the following foreclosure strategies. Raising the price of Call of Duty. Yep. And in that document, JC, they're outlining what foreclosure strategies would look like. They're saying foreclosure could be a strategy they implement. They're not saying they are going to do this. Making Call of Duty available on multi-game sub-services on Game Pass or providing COD on PlayStation Plus at a commercially unviable price, thereby making Tide it de facto exclusive. Yeah, those are possibilities. Again, you guys completely misread those all of the time. You're going to rip those bullet points out of context. You have to read the document in its entirety. It's a legal argument. It's a legal argument. They're not saying what will happen. They're saying what could happen. Your inability to understand that is so frustrating because it's willful. I'm literally quoting the document and projecting onto it that this will happen. That's not what Sony is saying. They're not saying that they will do this with Call of Duty. They're saying the lack of rigidity, the lack of concessions would allow them to do these things. You pro Xbox guys constantly get this part wrong. It's so frustrating to have to revisit it. Enough is enough. Sony has clearly stated, we want rigidity. We want something that is enforceable. Where is he posting this language? His first quote that I took issue was, Sony says that Microsoft will raise the price of Call of Duty. They've never said that. They said they could. He said the same thing the other day. Sony says that Microsoft will put bugs in Call of Duty. Nope. That's not what the document stated. It said that bugs could emerge, and then they would be slow to fix them because they don't have priority. That is got to be one of the most sensible, most non-controversial things I've ever heard. Bugs could emerge in the game, and they're going to be slower to fix them on our system. How dare you say such a thing? What do you mean? That's a non-starter. That's such a nothing burger. It's such a nothing burger. You're just arguing semantics? Oh yes. Yep. It's why I retweeted Insider Gaming yesterday and I said, why do we keep having to inject emotion into the situation? Xbox guy says a Sony sympathizer. Name calling does nothing. It just shows you have no argument. It's passive admittance you can't keep up or you can't argue. Like, name calling isn't going to ruffle feathers here. These are Sony's talking points in response to the CMA. These are their defenses. How many things could happen? Microsoft has never upped the price on competitor platforms, though. It's too easy to understand. I'm not explaining it to you. I'm done with you. The conversation has to move on. Today is about Xbox Activision deal, their refusal to hand things over to the FTC, and you're trying to distract from that by making it about Sony. You continue to bring this up, and I will time you out for the rest of the day. I can't let you people like you do this anymore. We're talking about Xbox, we're talking about the FTC, we're talking about mobile, we're talking about the impact on the mobile market, and you want to drag me back 3 days and revisit stuff we already covered about Sony. Cut the crap. Cut the crap. That is so disruptive, and I'm done. People have been banned for less, so quit. You disagree with Microsoft's actions, plain and simple, not here to argue. It's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing. It's not a matter of agreeing or disagreeing. It's a matter of saying, I, as a consumer, have watched this level of consolidation play out in so many other markets, and it's never been good for me. Never. It's not been good for me with cell phones. It's not been good for me with the internet. It's not been good for me with TV. It's not been good for movies. Because what they're doing is, these companies don't like you. They like your money. And they're saying, hey, trajectory is mobile. Trajectory is these markets. And they gobble them up, and then they control everything. People like you with the way you talk to chat. Yeah, they like me quite a bit because I don't have any quarter for BS. Godzilla, my man. This guy's been giving me so much love on Twitter. A $5 tip. Sony has examples of them dragging their butts on ports, like Psychonauts 2 not having a PS5 port, where the Series X and the S have it. Listen. These companies don't like you. What they're trying to do is, they're planning out. This is what people are doing. Too many people are looking at 5 feet in front of them. Microsoft is planning for the next 10 to 20 years. For the next 10 to 20 years, that's what Microsoft's planning on. So you're like, well, they've never done this or they've never done that. What are you talking about? This isn't about what's behind us. It's about what's potentially in front of us. And markets that get this level of consolidation, they end up being bad for the consumer. We lose. We lose. I'm not against it because I'm anti-Microsoft. I have been a console player on Microsoft for longer than Sony. I have more games in the Microsoft ecosystem. I've played more hours in the Microsoft ecosystem. Well, maybe not now, because the PS5 kind of changed my player habits, because I really like action-adventure games. That's a player preference. That's a thing that people don't understand. They're like, well, you lean Sony, you play more Sony games. I've always loved action-adventure games. Third-person action-adventure. I got converted with games like Hellblade and a handful of others. I just love them. They're fun. Well, that makes me lean Sony because of a game preference. That has nothing to do with the companies. Before I started really getting into variety gaming news coverage, I didn't know much about either of these companies. I just went where the games were. It was just where I would go. And Xbox, as a gaming system over the years, has disappointed me. That's not hate. That's just where I am. It's like, I just haven't been happy with what you guys have given me. I haven't been happy with what I've been offered. I went from being a single game content creator to like variety gaming news, and the more I look at it, I'm like, I don't like what Microsoft is doing. Yeah, I went where Destiny was. That's true. But I still played most of my Destiny hours as a streamer on the Xbox. Basement Radio Arcade Podcast, Brap, with a $5 tip, says, appreciate the critical thought in your analysis as it is sorely lacking elsewhere. Thank you. I'm against the deal. It has nothing to do with allegiance to a company. My allegiance has been to the user. I fight for the user. I did this when I covered Destiny. Can I get an amen? Can I get a testimony? Can somebody stand up and tell people? This man got in the trenches for 5 years and took up for the player, took up for the common man Every single time I asked Destiny to improve or to better itself or to listen to the user, it was not about the streamers. It was not about the hardcore players. I fight for the user. I always have and I always will. That's what makes me different than the other people that you're listening to on this. They're partisan. They're defending a party. They're defending a side. I'm taking up for the user and saying, brother, sister, listen to me. In 10 or 20 years, if you let this industry silo up and consolidate, you are not going to be happy with the results. You don't look at situations like this and say, well, I like Microsoft, so it's okay. Just imagine that Microsoft is the worst company in the world. I'm not saying that they are, but just imagine that they are. Imagine they're terrible and sinister and their CEO is Dr. Claw. Next time, Gadget. And he's like petting a cat. Would you want them to have that much power? If all it does is hinge on your affinity and your like for the company, that's the problem. Your desire for this deal to go through should not be about brand loyalty. It should be about what's good for the market and the consumer. And typically, this is what the arguments break down into. Well, Sony does it too. Sony bought $70 billion of the market. I can testify to that. I still remember your anti-Sony rants for Sony exclusive content in that game. Yes, and I have a stream on this channel that's, how old is that stream? 2 or 3 weeks ago, I did a show where I said the Hogwarts exclusivity on the PlayStation, I criticized it. I said, I'm sick of this. This is a bygone era. I wish they didn't do this. I don't think Sony needs to do it, to be quite honest. I would rather have Sony invest in things like they did with the haptic feedback in the controller and the lights on the controller. That's what initially made me say I was going to get Hogwarts on the PlayStation 5. I criticized the sliced off content. I said, this is not how you treat games. This is not how you respect the art of a game. I don't like an incomplete game showing up on some other box. I think that that's stupid. But I'm a Sony pony. I did a 2-hour show about that and got in the ring and argued with people about why I don't like it. Don't you see? That's the difference. I'm talking about the user. When I criticize the Hogwarts thing, I'm taking up for the user. It's the same. I come from the same framework. I come from the same convictions and the same beliefs every time. You can access the cut content on PCs. Oh yeah, I saw that. Which that makes sense because it's a timed exclusive, so they're going to unlock that content later on down the road. Look at Spider-Man in the Avengers games. If you're upset about Spider-Man on the Xbox, talk to Xbox. They turned down the Spider-Man contract. Limitless Gaming with $20 tip. You go after things that aren't right. It just so happens that Microsoft has been doing delinquent adjacent behavior more lately. Sony will have their turn if they start acting out. Lono's bat doesn't discriminate. That's right. Listen, if you're in here right now and you're like super pro Sony and you're like, yeah, man, this is great. He's getting the bat out and, he's wailing on Microsoft. Listen to me. I will do the exact same thing to Sony when they do something I don't like. You want to know why? My content, my brand, my success doesn't hinge on that. I'm not in any danger if I start criticizing Sony. Nothing's going to happen. I'm not going to lose an audience, a sponsorship. I'm not going to suddenly not get invited to events. So you're always going to get the same conviction from me. It's for the user. It's for the consumer. It's for me. It's for you. Do you want to know why? Self-interest. I like, it's better for me if we're all happy and things are going well and the gaming economy is flourishing. That's great for me. It's not great for me and it's not great for you. It's not great for all of us if stuff gets choked out. I respect that. I see a lot of Xbox only guys that have zero integrity. It's shameful. There's Sony guys doing the same thing. Dark Taco gifting a sub to Dem Rivers, taking us to 14 members on the day. Listen, we got to bring things back because there's a bunch of people tuning in right now on YouTube. Smash the like button if you're enjoying the coverage. Hit subscribe so you can join the conversation. I'm going to give you a recap. All I ever ask for when I do a recap is that you show appreciation with likes, hit subscribe, follow me or whatever, or consider becoming a member. Membership is the #1 way to support the channel directly, or maybe check out our coffee, reforgeroast.com. Let me give you the recap. All right, you ready? Buckle up. It's long. I'm not going to show all 9 images again, okay? Microsoft is basically refusing to hand things to the FTC. The FTC is doing a motion to compel because there's at least 24 requests that Microsoft has not given them. The most interesting ones, in my opinion, are the ones with respect to crossplay, since they wanted to see crossplay documents from Sony. I also want to see the new contracts that they're trying to do with Nintendo and all these other companies with Call of Duty. The FTC wants to see those because the FTC says, listen, if you're going to use those as defenses, we need to see them, because Microsoft is definitely using those as defenses. They're in the public every day talking about these contracts. They also did a refusal to search for and find documents with commentary about cannibalization of buy-to-play games. Activision refused that search query as well. I think that's incredibly important, because if you're going to buy this much of the market and potentially put it on a sub-service, I think it's good to know what that could do economically to those properties. They could really, really hurt the financial viability and profitability of these properties. They could sacrifice them on the sword of a subscription service. We need to know the internal documents about this. Last and not least, don't miss this. Mobile is the focus. The hand-waving, the Call of Duty, the contracts, those are nothing. This is all about mobile. They literally said they want to build a mobile storefront to take customers from Apple and Google. And I am not defending Apple and Google, but that is not the way to treat the market. I'm going to read some things now. A $10 tip from Christopher Wright. Lono's bad as Lucille, and she loves brains, and it doesn't matter if it's Microsoft or Sony, she'll bash them. Preacher says, I really do want to hear a legitimate reason for any of these people to think gaming will be different or immune. Telecommunications, internet, cable, electric, shipping, music, film. Name one industry that has ever benefited from mass consolidation. Do you think gaming is immune to it? Hilly says, would a mobile gaming user be better served by Google, Apple, or Google, Apple, Microsoft? We don't know. We don't know, Hilly. That's the point. Giving Microsoft that level of control, I don't know if that's better. The history of this level of consolidation shows me that it won't be better for us. It won't. I think the most interesting part of the ABK deal is the lack of comment by Apple. Unless there was private concessions or private deals between Microsoft and Apple, I'm very confused by that as well. If you guys feel like you don't get enough interaction over here on the Tickety Talk, go to my profile and click on the link. Head to Reforge Gaming on YouTube. I've got almost 700 people watching me over there. It's a power struggle, right? That's also the best place to support me with a membership. Wheezy says, they tricked y'all. Gotta give them props. Even I didn't notice until I saw the articles and the statements. Yeah. They flat out said it. Microsoft flat out said it. They said, where is it? Which image is it? It is image 7. Shifting consumers away from the Google Play Store and the App Store on mobile devices will, however, require a major shift in consumer behavior. Microsoft hopes that by offering well-known and popular content, gamers will be more inclined to try something new. It's all right there. We're going to buy these big well-known things so that we can get people to leave those those stores. And see, that's the problem, is people are like, well, Apple and Google deserve it. This is not the way. It's not. It's vigilante justice in a way. It's a form of vigilante justice. Instead of taking down their control or, their monopolistic behavior in a legal way, it's, we're just going to have Microsoft buy up. So what, 3 companies is suddenly going to make it any different? They're all going to be in the same situation, big chunks of the market. The consolidation will happen anyway, says Solemn. If not in this form, then in another. The average consumer doesn't and will not care regardless of your analogies or how you explain it. Yeah, I mentioned that in the show open, Wheezy. Yeah, the 4th most profitable game, mobile, is Candy Crush. $1 billion. It's only beat by games like PUBG by a little bit, Genshin by a little bit, and then Honor of Kings by quite a bit. I mean, look at this one. Mobile gaming revenues from the King division and titles such as Call of Duty Mobile, as well as ancillary, I hate that word, ancillary revenue, represents more than half of Activision Blizzard's revenues in the first half of 2022. Like, half of Activision Blizzard's revenue in the first half of 22 was from all the mobile stuff. Like, holy moly. We know they've been gunning for King, it's obvious. I didn't want to do a show about that specifically. I mentioned it from time to time. I said to you guys multiple times. Phil Spencer did an interview where he basically said this is about King Mobile. They basically admitted this is about mobile. We want to get into mobile. And I kept saying, and this was one of the reasons I really didn't cover it, the lack of response from Apple and Google and China. I was like, there's nothing to say yet, right? There's nothing to say yet. So it's like, hang on. Stupid. Hang on. Some guy's saying, you say you're not arguing morality, but you are. Using good, bad, and justice. Is this a fair deal between Microsoft and ABK? You're having a hard time distinguishing between the difference of uses of good and bad, as those can be qualitative statements with respect to the quality of the market, not a moral judgment of a person. Are you really going to make me have like an ontological discussion about the state of being, something being good or bad as a moral judgment of a person's character or actions, and something being good or bad as like a qualitative functional statement? Wow, that car runs really well. It's a good car. That car runs really poorly. It's a bad car, right? It doesn't function well. You can make almost mechanistic judgments of something. So if this is bad for the market, if this harms the market, that's not a moral judgment. It's a functional judgment of how it's supposed to work. That's not what I'm doing. And I think that's one of the reasons. I think people are conflating when I say good, bad, or right or wrong. They're thinking morality. It's like, I'm not arguing the morality of it. Are you protecting the consumer with your moral judgment? I'm trying to see if you think the deal is fair. It's not about whether or not the deal is fair. It's about whether or not the deal is good for the market. It's about whether or not the deal will lead to anti-competitive behavior, anti-consumer behavior. The door's wide open, and people are like, who cares? It's Microsoft. I like Microsoft. Factor said it would put a lot of developers out of business and lower the quality of games, though it will make more average games more affordable through subscription. Yeah, and I actually think that's a good prediction. I think it will put a lot of developers out of business. It will. It's literally how Epic is trying to combat Steam. They aren't trying to make a good store. They're buying and failing at exclusivity deals. Apple and Google aren't making those huge games that earn them billions in mobile. They're the storefront. Microsoft is trying to buy the product and open the storefront. Great comeback, Wheezy. The people that keep saying, oh, Google, Apple. Apple and Google make all their money and they're just the storefront. We went and looked, like the biggest acquisition that Apple made was Beats Electronics, and that has nothing to do with this. So Microsoft wants to buy the product and open the storefront. Hilly has some decent points about the mobile stuff. All right, hang on. Let me open. I don't know. I can't stand this new thing that Discord did. Microsoft is allowed, if they put capital at risk, to enter the market through acquisition that don't give them control of the mobile gaming market. It's a foot in the door. Apple and Google make 30% of them all and make none of them. I think Wheezy's response to what Hilly just said is a slam dunk. That's not comparable. It's not comparable. Microsoft is trying to buy the product, some of the most lucrative and successful pieces of the product, and open the store while taking it from the other stores. That's not the same. It isn't the same. Newsflash, the market is already anti-competitive. How right now is gaming anti-competitive? How? In what way is somebody owning and operating it such a controlling way that you're getting a raw end of the deal as a consumer? What's anti-competitive? What's going on? Because that was asserted by some Swiss trust fund or something. I don't even know what it was. They tried to do some court case about that, about Sony being anti-competitive. It went nowhere. Couldn't be substantiated. Can we please stop conflating anti-competitive and illegal? I made this. You made this? I made this. That's right. No pressure on digital storefronts. They all charge 30%. Okay. Again, that's a relationship between the storefront and the developer. That has nothing to do with you. Has the 30% royalty split on YouTube super chats and members, has that affected you in any way? It affects me. It affects how much money I make every month. Are the developers unfairly or in a violent way driving cost up because of that 30%? That 30% split is in Steam. Mike, by the way, Hilly, remember when that court case came up in England about this and said that Sony was being anti-competitive or whatever because of the 30% split? You know what's funny? Nintendo does the same thing. So does Steam. And hold on to your hats, ladies and gentlemen. So does Microsoft. So you think Microsoft's going to open up a digital storefront for mobile games, and when you put mobile games on it, you think they're not going to do their standard 30%? I don't understand. Anti-competitive equals won't let Microsoft win. Why is Microsoft not developing their own marketplace and game offerings? They have $69 billion. Make the pie bigger, not take a chunk for yourself. The deal gets blocked, there will be an online party. Could last for weeks. Nah. If ABK opened up a storefront separate from Apple and Google, would you have an issue? No, because that's theirs. It's their property. If that's what they wanted to do. See, if that's what they wanted to do, that's not the same. Because Microsoft has deeper pockets. So they have the money to fund that entire infrastructure. They've got cloud. They're one of the leaders in cloud. They have the ability with browsers to take things like they did with Fortnite and put them back to circumvent those storefronts. So that's not the same. You're giving everything to the company that has all the means and all the monies to do it on their own. ABK would have to invest tons of money in all of that, and they already own the property. So if that's what they wanted to do, you also have to understand something. If ABK did that, it would be counterproductive, because half of their annual revenue of 2022 came from mobile. Under the current terrible deals, I guess, of Apple and Google taking that greedy 30%, and yet Activision seems to be doing just fine in those market fronts. They have a storefront, Battle.net. Yeah, really consider that for a moment. If Apple and Google, if their storefronts are so terrible and so anti-competitive, my gosh, that's really interesting how somehow Activision makes up, they got half their revenue. They got half their revenue this year just from mobile alone. Isn't that amazing? I've not watched any of Hoag's stuff. I'm just way too busy to watch other content creators. This research that I did today is like 18 pages. It took me forever. I'm like painfully getting screenshots and creating scenes for you guys so I can have everything in the content. Like, I put a ton of work into today's show. because I wanted to be rigid and stick to the documents, at least in the show open. Once we start discussing, I can't keep going back and like rigidly reading every document. That wouldn't be a good show. People would get annoyed. But the show opens like that. The Epic Store is a 12% developer split. You aren't paying less money on the Epic Store. Yeah, really think about that for a minute. Epic does a 12% developer split. They don't lower the price of the games. Now, some of that, Wheezy, they can't lower the price of the games because if they lower the price of the games, they have to lower the price everywhere. That's Steam's contract, which is a little anti-competitive. But think about that. Do you honestly think if they launched their own mobile storefront and they took less than 30%, you think they'd pass the savings on to you? They wouldn't. You guys know Google struck deals with 24 app developers to not create a mobile store that competes with Google's? $360 million Activision deal to block rival app stores? They struck deals with 24 app developers to not create mobile stores. Emony. Oh, they have exclusive games on Epic. They could lower those prices. That's true. Hoag's on point. He is an expert. Fallacy of the expert. If you think he's right because he's an expert, that's not what makes a person right. You've already shown you'll pay full price. Why would they give you a discount? That's exactly right. What did Wheezy say about Windows Store only takes 12% from game developers? Do you pay less from the Windows Store? Why is fostering innovation a part of this convo? Oh, are you saying why is it not a part of this convo? Is that what you meant to say, Zubair? What happens if the deal goes through and Xbox increases the price of Game Pass? Will those people who are pro Xbox be okay with that? How goes the conversation today? It's been good. Listen, I asked Wheezy last night. I said, give me worst case scenario, right? Give me worst case scenario. What's the worst they could do? And he says, the mobile market is bigger than console and the PC market combined, doubled. Mobile market is honestly the future, which is why everyone is trying to get a slice from console. Why do you think Sony has their presentations where they're trying to have over half of their games release on PC and mobile? Because if you lose the mobile market, you're going to be dead in a decade. Establish the foothold and make everybody come to you. I think that's exactly right. Hang on. $1 trillion company using its revenue from other businesses trying to steamroll a comparatively much smaller company. This is anti-competitive. What are you referring to? What's his name? Jalaj Joshi? I'm going to call you Joshi. Joshi, who are you referring to? $1 trillion company using its revenue from other businesses trying to steamroll a comparatively much smaller company. This is anti-competitive. I think I agree with you. I think you're saying Microsoft is using all of its money from other businesses and other ventures to steamroll over other companies. They're trying to steamroll into these markets. East Coast Overlord with a $5 tip through Super Chat. I will shoot my left pinky toe off before I use the Windows Store. Microsoft needs to fix their stores before they go buying devs. Don't you think this deal will make other companies try to adapt, make moves, and innovate? But innovate in what way? How do you compete with buying power? It's a real easy question. Didn't you quote the devs of Final Fantasy 16 as if they're experts and use them? Isn't that the same? Are we allowed to use experts to back our opinions or not? That's not what I'm saying. That's not what... No, you know what? That's a timeout. Bad faith questions that project things onto me that I didn't say, I'm just going to start timing people out for that because you know what you're doing. And I'm tired. I am exhausted with bad faith questions that make me re-explain myself. If you can't keep up, if you constantly misunderstand me, this probably is not a great place for you because you're going to constantly flat tire chat. PlayStation just bought Bungie. Okay. Comparatively, Bungie to Activision Blizzard, what do you think the size difference is there? Comparatively. What do you think the size difference is? Yeah, just compare Bethesda to Bungie. Let's do that. Do you want to compare those acquisitions? Because that's not the same. Like, this is not a developer acquisition. That's not what this is. So how much was Zenimax valued at? And then how much was Bungie valued at? What was the difference there? I'm not a mathematician, but I think even when you compare those two purchases, Zenimax is a bigger purchase. Oh, and then if we compare it to the Activision Blizzard acquisition, trying to create that as an equivalency, you're going to break your back. It's not the same. Final Fantasy 16 dev spoke specifically with as hands-on software dev. Hogue is projecting his interpretation from an opinionated perspective. Thank you. It's not even comparable. The Final Fantasy 16 devs literally said, as developers, here's all the things that really helped us make our game. That's not the same as somebody projecting onto a situation what they think or their own interpretation. Bungie isn't a publisher. As far as I know, Bungie was overpriced when Sony bought them. Who said that? Did somebody actually say that? That they were overvalued? The thing I appreciate about the Bungie acquisition is Sony paid an extra $1 billion for employee retention so they don't get laid off. Oh yeah, I forgot about that. Yeah, I forgot about that. That they actually paid more money to keep everybody on board. Like I said, now you're talking about the man. Invite him on, have a discussion, because I'm telling you right now, every point you're bringing up, he would destroy you. Really? Huh. You know what's interesting? I didn't bring him up. Somebody in chat did. Somebody in chat brought him up. I'm not interested in debating some other YouTuber like that. I'm not. Listen, if he wants to come on and do a show, I would gladly do a show with him. I did a show with Doc Dark, and we debated we debated Game Pass. By the way, you're done here. I don't let people with badges talk to me like that because you're not a member here. You're not a part of our community. You're not allowed to be here anymore. When you have a badge and you take shots at me, that's a fast exit. That's a real fast exit. I don't want people in here representing our community being a jerk. Like, that's just not what we're about. Press Alpha with a $5 tip. Spencer says one thing in the media and another under oath. This is exactly how Hogue would be too if he was representing Microsoft and had to present actual fact. Lono hasn't given an opinion. He's reading court documents. Yeah, my entire show open was nothing but just reading documents. Now, when someone asked me what I thought of the deal, I said, I am against the deal, and here is why. I'm against this level of consolidation. Historically, this level of consolidation isn't good for the consumer. Do you understand? Like, there's a giant difference between, like, okay, I'll give you an example. I saw a Verge headline that is, it's just perfectly what's wrong with gaming journalism. It was summed up in one headline. It said, Sony may have to defend its blocking games from Game Pass, or something to that effect. So the headline is asserting something. It's making a claim that's unsubstantiated. There is no proof that Sony paid money to keep games off of Game Pass. That has been debunked. And yet that was the headline. Never went back and edited it. No retractions. So it's a headline that asserts something. It like bakes it in. It's why when Insider Gaming had their article yesterday, I was like, this is not characteristic of Insider Gaming. Like, asserting that Sony is mad? What is that? Why are we projecting emotion onto the situation? And I got a lot of respect for Tom Henderson because I called out the headline. I said, this is just so tiring. Why do we have to keep projecting emotion on? He agreed with me. He had them change the headline because I reached out. I DM'd him. I said, hey, man, I'm not trying to cause trouble. I just didn't feel like that headline was characteristic of Insider Gaming. And he had him change it before I DM'd. He's like, no, I agree with you. He's like, I had him change it. That is accountability in the gaming press. That is accurate reporting. That's how it's supposed to work. So if you want accurate information, there are people committed to that. I think you could go to Tommy Hendy. You can go to Tom Henderson and Insider Gaming if you want accurate reporting on this stuff. Now, obviously, the article was still sort of slanted against Sony, being like, oh, they're concerned about exclusives and they have exclusives. Yo, 5 gifted members from Quintar and a gifted member from Sorcerer. A nice little 6 to get us to 20 even. There you go. Thank you so much. My kiddos are back from school, says Hilly. I agree with the Sony concerns, but with mobile gaming, with Microsoft low market share, I can't find a good reason to block it. Considering the state of that market, I don't think that will make it any worse for the consumer, just more of the same. Chapter 8 says, take Hoag's opinion as a lawyer on how common this legal situation is, how Microsoft will likely respond, what the outcome will likely be. But he's not an expert on the game market or deals of this size, says Chapter 8. He is a small deal solo practitioner. Here's a gifted because we lost one idiot. I appreciate that. Sony stated that Sony pays for blocking rights to prevent developers from adding content to Game Pass and other competing subscription services in their court documents in Brazil. Yeah, but that's alleging. That was not substantiated, JC. We investigated that. We did. We investigated those claims. We just said, see what I said in regards to price parity. Oh, I finally found the price parity thing. People are quoting it incorrectly. This is the price parity on Steam. Thank you, Limitless Gaming, for another gifted member, taking us to 21 members on the day. You can make the game cheaper, just not the Steam key elsewhere. Oh, I swore it was that if you mark your game down in another marketplace, it has to be marked down here at the same time. Yeah, that's the headline. Sony might be forced to reveal how much it pays to keep games off Game Pass. It wasn't substantiated that they spend money to keep games off of Game Pass. That is such a false and misleading framing. And they know that they're lying. It's willful dishonesty. It's not like somebody misunderstands and writes up a headline, then it's like, oops, sorry, I had a misunderstanding. No, that is willful dishonesty. Oh, it's just the Steam key. Okay. Blocking games from a competing streaming service seems like a logical evolution of console and third-party exclusivity in a cloud streaming landscape. Okay, here's the thing. That's being framed, and this is what they want you to see. They're painting a false picture. They're painting a picture that Sony goes to a dev and says, hey, we will write you a check to keep that game off of Game Pass. That hasn't happened. That has not been substantiated. This is what happened. There was a Resident Evil 8, Resident Evil Village contract that came to light. This was how they tried to substantiate the claim, which shows you how thin and stupid it is. They had a contract, a marketing contract with Resident Evil because Sony was marketing it. The trailers are on their YouTube channel. The trailers have all the Sony branding, okay? In that contract, there was a right of refusal. If you're going to put it over there, we want you have to come to us first. About like subscription services or something like that. And then there was another line about performance parity. If we're going to market the game, we want the game to run the same everywhere. We don't want the game to be running better on a competitor's console because we're the one marketing the game. It was a marketing contract. It was literally just a marketing contract. And like it stands to reason that if you're going to do a marketing contract and you're going to be promoting the game, that those things wouldn't happen. Imagine marketing Resident Evil and its day-and-date Xbox Game Pass title. Do you really think Sony wants to do that? You think they want to spend their money and their brand and their footprint promoting a game that's going to be day-and-date on Game Pass? That would be completely counterproductive and stupid. So yes, of course, baked into a marketing contract is a right of refusal clause about Game Pass, and it gets spun by Microsoft first that, oh, they're paying money to keep games off Game Pass. And then everybody gobbles it up and runs with headlines. And then once it gets corrected, you don't see retractions. You don't see any of those people reporting that. No. They ran with the inflammatory headline, got their ad revenue, and then they moved on. They used the RE8 contract, which was a marketing contract that required parity and provided Sony a right of first refusal to have the game on PS Plus. That's exactly right. Sony was not paying to keep the game off Game Pass. They were paying for an opportunity to have it on their sub first or at the same time as Game Pass. That's exactly right. So Sony did pay to keep games off Game Pass. No, that's not what it was. No. That's not what it was. It was a marketing contract, and they had a right of first refusal clause baked into the contract. That literally means, hey, if you're going to put that on Game Pass, you got to come to us first. We want to do it first. We want parity there. Because what Sony would have pushed for is, we don't want it on PS Plus or Game Pass for the first 3 months, because that's when we make all of our money. We don't want to promote a game that you're going to go throw on some sub-service day and date. Don't you see? Doesn't that cause you pause? Have you ever had somebody lie to you? Have you ever had somebody mislead you? Doesn't it take time to rebuild that trust? You're allowing gaming press outlets and pundits and bloggers and YouTubers to literally lie to your face, and you're okay with it because they're shaking a green pom-pom. They're like, rah, rah, Xbox. What? That's bewildering. That's weird behavior. You're just okay with it because they're cheering for your team? Christian Garcia with 13 months. Microsoft isn't wanting to build a marketplace for gaming with the purchase of Activision. King has user data and how their users buy and think too. Well, but they are wanting to build a marketplace for gaming. That's what they've said. Where is it? Hang on. I got the quote. Microsoft recently revealed in its filings with the CMA that it plans to create a new Xbox mobile platform that will include mobile games by Activision and King. That's from TechCrunch.com. Sony does a lot of underhanded business. Okay, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. Can that be proven? Can that be substantiated? Have they been sued? Has there been investigations? Like, it's not about Sony, right? Like, to me, this is about the next 20 years of gaming. That's what this discussion is about. This discussion is not about which team you cheer for. This discussion is not about which console is the best or which is the strongest. Those are all sidebar issues for small minds to yell at each other about on Twitter. You want to elevate the conversation? You want to rise above all the nonsense and the tribalism that achieves virtually nothing because you just shout at each other on Twitter until you get tired. This is about the next 20 years of gaming. That's what this conversation is ultimately about. Microsoft's not trying to spend $70 billion because they like you and want to help you play more games. They're trying to get a foothold in a market that's about to be an endemic reality to our daily lives. You're a YouTuber? Yeah, but Biggity, do you think I'm equal to the YouTubers that mislead people and go with false headlines and false thumbnails and false titles? Find it. On my channel, find it. Find a single stream where I've done that. If I've ever made a mistake, I retract it. I correct it almost instantly. Either the other day I misspoke and said that I thought Microsoft owned Moon Studios, the people who make Ori. I got corrected within seconds. I was like, oh, I was wrong. Sorry. I went to Google, searched it, and was like, oh, nope, guys, sorry. Want to be factual? Nope, they don't own Moon Studios. I thought they did. It was a simple mistake. I had a guy blasting me on Twitter yesterday. He claimed that I was lying to people and misleading them about what games were first party. And what his proof was, a stream where I pulled up that image, you know, the next 12-month image from the Xbox Bethesda showcase where all the games were listed. Hey, these are the games coming in the next 12 months. And I was like combing over the list, and saying things like, I believe this is first party, this might be first party. And then I asked the question, I said, is Wolong first party or did they just broker a deal? And he's out here telling people, this guy doesn't know what he's talking about. He told everybody that Wolong was first party. And I'm like, I was bumbling my way through a list of games and genuinely asking and saying, I don't know, are these? And it was a Starfield stream, for crying out loud. It was a stream about Starfield, and we just looked at that image and we're kind of thinking through, what's the next year going to look like for Microsoft? Which of these are first party? Which of these are third party? And he thinks he's got me nailed to the wall or something because I didn't know that if Wolong was first party or not. Lono, can you please talk about this competition aspect? I think it's an aspect people are actually wrong on, leading to their misunderstanding of its view on this. It inspires, doesn't destroy. I'm not sure what you mean, Daniel Braun. Microsoft doesn't own Moon Studios. Moon Studios even complained about how Microsoft sucks. You know why it's confusing? Apparently they own the Ori property, which is super weird. A lot of us thought they owned Moon. Yeah, it was a simple mistake. I researched this. Apparently they own Ori. Like, Microsoft owns the Ori property, but they don't own Moon, which is weird because I guess then they brokered a deal with Nintendo because Ori shows up on Nintendo. Can you get both Ori games on Nintendo? I can't remember. I know the first one showed up, but I can't remember if the second one showed up on Nintendo. I mean, that's a real easy mistake to make. That's like what Moon is known for. If Microsoft owned Moon, then it would have to mean all their games suck. Oh, stop it. They own the IP, but not the studio. Moon had issues internally. Yeah, that's weird. Moon was a second-party dev. We don't see too many of them. Yeah, it's an easy mistake to make. A gifted membership from Christian. Thank you so much for doing that, taking us to 22 members on the day. Thank you guys so much. Listen, I'm going to be real with y'all. I'll be totally transparent. I'm going to be totally transparent as a content creator. These shows are hard. I'm working twice as much, if not 3 times as much, to bring these shows to you. Because this is not, hey guys, let's look at a trailer, or hey guys, there's this game coming out. This is me, I was combing over PDFs, documents, news reports, Google searches. I told my wife, I was like, I feel like I'm slow. I feel like I'm doing the work of a journalist. I'm not a journalist. I didn't sign up for this. This is not what I planned to do. I just wanted to talk games and laugh, baby. But listen, clearly, this is something that people want. This is something people are responding to. And I feel like I'm not too bad at it. So I don't want to do this every day of the week. I don't want to become an Activision, a Microsoft Xbox Activision deal channel. There's so many other things I'd rather do and cover. Trust me. Creature and I were plotting out a show for tomorrow, and this stuff started getting traction, and we both just groaned. It was like, oh, we got to cover this again. Look at my coverage historically. I was taking a month break covering this. I would wait a month before covering it again because it's so much work and it's tiring and it's tough. Yo, Dark Taco gifting a sub, and it went to D-Doc. Thank you so much for doing that. Taking us to 23 members on the day. People want the truth. I'm not trying to like spiritualize this or make this some delusional thing, but it's like, my gosh, I feel like I'm being called to the mat. Like, you better come and do this because nobody else is going to do it, and the people want you to. They want you to. Like, I want y'all to know, I take this very seriously. I'm doing this out of almost feeling compelled by you and others. Like, you better cover this, brother, because nobody else is going to cover it. Nobody else is going to talk about it like this way. Like, it's frustrating. I can't even find articles about it sometimes. I'm like, nobody's reporting on this. I'm having to go to government sites and come over PDFs. What the frick? I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. It's hard. I was tired. I went up to dinner last night. I was tired. They're like, what's the matter? I was like, I just typed up 18 pages. I said 18 pages, and I'm not done. It took so much time to put together this morning's opening monologue. Kenta with a $7 tip. I love the show. Keep it up. Raymond with a $3 tip. We're all human at the end of the day. Thank you. I just hope that y'all come back when this cools down. I just hope y'all come back when we're talking about stuff that's a little bit more lighthearted, like Diablo 4's beta is tomorrow, and what's Diablo 4 going to do with its rhythm, and Starfield. Oh man, I got a great video for you guys today too. Later today, there'll be a video about Starfield. Oh, you're not going to want to miss it because I did a ton of research for that one too. I want the deal to go through just to see how it all turns out. I think the industry change will be interesting. No idea if it'll be in a good way, but I want change either way. What do you mean, y'all? I'm not human. I identify as a goddess. I mean, you have to prove that, Chapter 8. So we need video of you, like, flying around or something. You missed a super chat? Whose super chat did I miss? I did the $7 Kenta Wilson. I did the $3 Raymond. And I missed... Oh, I'm sorry. Phaedra Socrates. What if Microsoft demanding that it wants Game Pass deal, but must not put the demo on PlayStation Plus top tier service? I think Sony would demand that investigated. Thank you for the 5 spot. I appreciate that. Yeah, we got Starfield coming out. Wouldn't this deal enforce Sony to focus more on other genres, encouraging more diverse genres outside of adventure games? They said they bought Bungie to learn about FPS development. FPS development's only one side of that. They also want to make live service games. By the end of 2026, they want to have like 12 live service games out in the market. And Returnal's not an action-adventure game. Demon Souls is not an action-adventure game. Last of Us Part 1, I guess you could call that an action-adventure game. I like how you're passively asserting a negative slant against Sony to in the form of a question. It's super, super clever. But, like, homie, I can smell the difference between pizza and a cheeseburger. Like, I know what you're doing. Like, oh yeah, I'm going to pretend to ask a good faith question. Don't you think this deal would put pressure on Sony to not make games all the same? I absolutely bodied that yesterday. That has got to be one of the dumbest, most intellectually bankrupt positions that I consistently have to deal with. That all Sony games are the same. Like, you clearly don't own a PlayStation, and you've clearly never played the games if you think, well, they're all the same. I give up. Can't keep the convo going with Lono. Have a good day. I give up. I can't get only Lono's attention in a stream with over 600 people. I want the industry to move forward and get over the console steel cage. Everyone seems okay with it. You wanted me to react to that? That's not a substantive comment. That's a platitude. That's not in... Microsoft move leads others to change and adapt, improve, update their strategy, move the industry forward. No. Again, platitudinous and speculative. There's nothing I can do with that. I already engaged with your question, Daniel. I said, how do you innovate against massive spending? How do you compete with massive spending? Innovation's not the key. You compete with massive spending by massive spending. Look at what the cell phone companies did. Did the cell phone companies innovate, or did they all gobble? Did the internet providers and the TV providers, did they innovate, or did they just start gobbling? You don't compete with massive spending with innovation. You compete with massive spending with your own massive spending. I don't think it's a dishonest question. It is a dishonest question, JC. Your question is based on a bankrupt and stupid position. I want you to hear that. I want people to hear that and feel that as an insult. To think that all Sony games are the same, I want you to feel it. That's a stupid position. It's not intellectual. It's not founded in evidence. It's not facts-based. It's a subjective, ignorant opinion launched into an insult. Bill Daddy Lono, I gotta go anyway. Oh, come on. You made it seem like I was ignoring you, Daniel. You can't walk out of the room and be like, well, I can't keep a conversation with this guy, so I'm going to leave. Come on, man. I pride myself on interaction. I'm not trying to slant PlayStation. You said it yourself. You prefer PlayStation because of the action-adventure games. Yes, but that doesn't mean that they're all the same. Your question presumes that they're all the same. Because your question presumes that. It asks, wouldn't this deal force them to innovate? That's why it's a bad faith question. It's a bad faith question. You insult Sony with a presumption, with this. It's just such a stupid position. And then I'm supposed to answer the question. This is why your question's in bad faith. Because instead of just addressing the question, think about why your question's bad. I'm going to educate everybody on why your question is so bad. If I answer your question, you get me to passively admit that all Sony games are the same. You're not that slick, brother. I've been doing this for too long. You're not slicking one past the goalie. Like, yeah, a question for you, Lono. Don't you think if this deal goes through, it would put pressure on Sony to innovate and make games that aren't all the same? They're not all action-adventure games? And I'm like, yeah, you know, they might start have to leaning into, oh, Lono just admitted that all PlayStation games are the same. You're not that slick. I'm not going to do that. I immediately sniff out the faulty premise, and I wail on it. I'm like, get the frick out of here. It's the same intellectual level as Xbox has no games. You'll never find me say that Xbox has no games. I've always talked about the cadence of games. Xbox's problem is not that it doesn't have games. It's the cadence of games that they're struggling with. That's what I've always couched it in. Microsoft could put themselves in a much better position with Game Pass and with a presence in the market with a better cadence of games. I've never said, oh, they don't have any games. Now, I might have said that about 2022. I might have been like, where are the games? And I think that's a fair thing to say. I think even Xbox fans admit that like 2022 wasn't a good year. They used to have more IPs in other genres, though. They stopped development for Killzone and games like Haze. Current Sony games are more so adventure. They also admit that they bought Bungie because they need to know more about FPS. Okay, but now you're being unidimensional. The Bungie deal is more about live service than FPS. Also, we've been through this before. Sony doesn't need to make another Killzone or another SOCOM. They have 48% of the Call of Duty audience. That would be like saying Microsoft really needs to invest in other racing games. Why would they do that? They make a bundle. They have a very successful industry and franchise vertical in Forza. It's brain dead to be like, you know what Sony should really do? They should invest money competing with themselves. What? Why would they do that? Why would Sony invest in money to compete with Call of Duty? They make money hand over fist with Call of Duty. They're supposed to spend their own money making a game that would probably struggle in their ecosystem to garner attention because so much of the people on their ecosystem that would enjoy a game like Killzone and SOCOM are already playing Call of Duty. Think beyond what you're suggesting. I loved Resistance. I loved Killzone. People didn't buy them. Yeah, trying to enter that market is so perilous. It's so tough. So lean on third party. So presume and project that they're leaning on third party. In what universe, if you look at the success, look at the commercial success of Spider-Man, of Miles Morales, of Horizon Forbidden West, and God of War, and tell me they're leaning on third party. Look at all the revenue reports and all the sales reports. Please stare straight-faced at Sony's insane, consistent commercial success and say, well, they're leaning on third party. I'm not trying to be dishonest. I wasn't trying to rephrase it in light of the negatives towards PlayStation. My point was they had great IPs like Killzone, Resistance, and they're not focusing on those IPs anymore. And I just explained it to you, brother. I need to put a dry erase board back here. Call of Duty is like this big giant sun just beaming, just beam. So many people are like moths. Call of Duty. And so many of the PlayStation user base goes to that funnel. Sony would be wasting money to say, I've got an idea. Let's get Killzone. Let's get SOCOM back into the market. Well, who do those games appeal to? Well, it appeals to this massive audience over here playing Call of Duty. Why in the heck would we do that? Why would we do that? That's going to be... Like, market research would tell you that that's a bad idea. You do any of your market research, any of your risk assessment, and you're going to say, this game is going to struggle. Like, how do you, like, that's so pedestrian. That's so, like, low level. You should be able to understand that. That's easy to understand. And looking at what they've leaned into, look at the commercial success of what they've leaned into. Look at the sales numbers for Miles Morales, Spider-Man, Forbidden West, God of War. Clearly, they're doing something right. Clearly. The better question you should be asking, and I said this the other day, the company that has the most vested interest in creating a Call of Duty competitor is Microsoft. Microsoft makes up the smallest portion of the Call of Duty audience. So, it stands to reason they would be in a better position to create a Call of Duty competitor because they wouldn't be doing some self-competition thing. Microsoft's throwing around $70 billion. They've clearly got the money. These people that say this, they're like, why doesn't Sony create a Call of Duty competitor? Why doesn't Microsoft do it? They've clearly got the money. The logical inconsistency and the cognitive, like, dissonance in people to be like, Microsoft's got endless cash flow. Look how big and tough they are. But then it's like, okay, use that endless cash flow to make a Call of Duty competitor. Why won't they do it? For the same reason that Sony wouldn't do it. It's a fool's errand. It's a fool's errand. Who wants to do that? I can't believe nobody wants to come out and try and compete with McDonald's. Don't back down now. History is my fact-based argument. These moves lead to industry change. Innovation happens because of this, and the consumer wins in a better product. Thoughts? No, you can't. That's demonstrably false. We have not gotten better internet service. We've not gotten better television. Like you could say that we've gotten better television programming, like because of the investment into first-party properties by like Netflix and stuff. But then that was a snake eating its tail because they canceled all those shows because it was too expensive. So it was untenable. So yeah, we got better shows, but then they canceled them. So even that's not substantiated. Internet service is much better. Internet service is faster. But comparatively speaking, globally, we are woefully behind. The bottleneck for technology in America right now is batteries and internet. So internet's faster. So you could argue that, liar, it's all gotten better. If you're going to claim that the quality of the service has gotten better, there is a natural trajectory of tech advancements that you cannot attribute to consolidation. That's correlation, not causation. Tech investments, tech advancements, that's the natural trajectory of technology. I'll do one for you. Look at the tech advancements of all the third-party games. Clearly, third-party games are better than first-party games. Look at all the tech advancements of the games that are not owned by a first-party studio. Clearly, we don't want this consolidation to go through because, look at the causative reality and look at the causative relationship between companies not being owned by a big conglomerate and the quality of games. That's just technology. Technology moves forward. So just because internet speeds have gotten better and cell phone services is gotten better, like you can do more with your cell phone than you could 20 years ago, you're attributing that to the consolidation. That is a false conclusion. That's correlation, not causation. Eugene says, we're a decade behind at a minimum on internet. Why? Because consolidation killed innovation and competition. Thank you. Literally look at what happened to the internet innovation after consolidation. It all comes to a screeching halt. Where's the fiber? Where are the better speeds? Where is the internet that all these other countries are getting? Well, it all got consolidated, so there's no pressure to compete. There's no pressure to innovate. Where are you going to go? Who are you going to go get internet from? Look at how it's stalled out. It's both. That's a fact. You've not substantiated the claim that consolidation has a causal relationship with tech innovation. You haven't. You Now, you can presume it, but you haven't substantiated it. Like, what's the causative relationship between internet speed right now and the consolidation of all the internet companies? You're being outlandish. It's getting better by the day? No, it's not. Internet in America is not getting better by the day. It's completely stagnated. The infrastructure's old. They're using old copper lines. They're not being pushed to upgrade any of it. We have Google Fiber here in Atlanta. It's awesome. Yeah, the hope would be that Google continues to try to push for that because they're getting blocked at every turn. Gee, I wonder why we don't have fiber in more places. It's almost like consolidation has empowered very, very large companies to block innovation and to keep fiber out of your neighborhoods. You haven't established there's no causal relationship. You presumed it. No, I don't have to assume there's no causal relationship. The burden of proof is on him. He's the one that's asserting consolidation has brought about tech advancements. Burden of proof's on him, not on me. He's the one that asserted it. I didn't assert that there was no causal relationship. I'm saying you haven't substantiated your claim. You claimed it. I've not centered any of my argument around tech advancements having a correlated relationship with consolidation. He made the claim. Burden of proof's on him. Substantiate it. 10 gifted members from Behemoth, taking us to 33. That's a big one. That's a big one. I work on fiber optic lines. I'm an engineer. Trust me, it takes time. To say it's not happening is a lie. I didn't say it's not happening. You said it's improving every single day. Homie, I was told 3 years ago by a tech in my city that there was a 5-year build order for fiber. It ain't here. We're 3 years in. Nothing. Why? I literally talked to the guy about why fiber gets stopped, why this gets stopped, why that gets stopped. And he was like, I mean, yeah, they just keep blocking it. They don't, this company's fighting with this company about poles. This company's fighting with this company about that. And the consolidation is one of the reasons they're able to do it. They consolidated up. Now they own all the stuff, and they're like, nope, can't use it. Nope. Other companies can't come in and build on it. That is quite literally consolidation choking innovation right there. That's anecdotal. That's the best I got right now. I've not researched this. I've not researched this exhaustively. As a consumer, I've watched all these companies gobble up and consolidate up, and I've been like, what's helped me? I don't have any options. There's no competition. Who am I going to go to? Where am I going to go? If I don't like the prices, if I don't like the service, if I don't like how they treat me, if I don't like how long the techs take to come out, like, I don't have any control. Aaron Wright with 3 months. What up, Lono? Did you pre-order Diablo 4? If so, will you be streaming the beta? Yes, I will be pre-order. I will be streaming the beta. As a member, you guys can watch my wife and I play Diablo tomorrow night. They spend in which things change is much faster with competition. Why would I care about making my service better if I don't actually have competition? Yeah, I don't... Google wanted gigabit internet fiber everywhere, but the dirty guys at the ISPs snuffed that out. That was back in 2012. 2012! 11 years ago, Google's like, we want to put gigabit internet everywhere. And the ISPs, because of their strength and because of their consolidation, they block it. So this idea, though, what are you talking about, man? Consolidation's been great for us. Look at all the advancements. Tech advances on its own. It doesn't need consolidation to advance. These are bad analogies because there are other factors. Whatever, man, keep arguing, but the change is going to happen with or without your support. You'll be fine when it does. Okay, hand waving. Whatever, man. Whatever, man. Now that there's very clear evidence in the argument that consolidation has actually hurt innovation, I'm going to back out. It's going to happen anyway. What fatalist nonsense is that? I don't know what's this. The Book of Broken Promises. $400 billion of broadband scandal and free the net. How old is this? By the end of 2014, America will have been charged about $400 billion by the local phone incumbents for AT&T and CenturyLink for a fiber optic future that never showed up. Ding, 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 ding. You need to look into these industries more before you speak with such certainty. Gaming doesn't need to build billion-dollar infrastructure. I've not said that it needs to. I have said that historically, consolidation's been very bad for me. The consolidation of internet service companies has made it to where all of the innovations and all of the infrastructure improvements that we were supposed to get, we didn't get them. Blocked at every turn. For 10, 11 years. Go back to 2013, go back to 2014. All this money, all this investment, and it never happened. Because they're in a position where, what are you going to do? How are you going to stop it? Literally lying about internet not being better. I didn't lie about the internet not being better. I said that we are woefully behind. I acknowledge that my internet's faster now. 10 years ago, what? I was getting like, on a good day, you'd get 50 or 100 down, and now I get 800 down, right? So yeah, internet speed's gotten better, but it's so crystal clear that the things that we were promised, it's all moving at a snail's pace now. Who's he calling names? Because he's already called me a liar. It takes time. It's advanced tech. Haha. Needy computer boys who want what they want. Yeah, I'm just done with you. You just take swipes because your argument's weak. Your insecurity and your lack of intelligence is just so showing. I don't let people stay here that do that. I don't. You make some big grand claim. We point to 3 different ways that consolidation has kept the internet infrastructure from advancing and improving in America for like 10-something years, and you've called me a liar, and now you're calling me a needy computer boy. Dude, go find a playground to hang out on, because that's your level of intellect. You can't hang with me. Golly. It happens every time. Big, grandiose claim. Push on it. Push on it. Oh, I can't substantiate my position. Insult. So freaking predictable and childish. Look what happened in the PC space since the 90s. Less studios, less hardware options due to consolidation. Telling you, man, you start using words they don't know what they mean, they get bent. Creature told me on the phone, he said, you do know that guy on Twitter is going to drive home from work and be like, what the F does conjecture mean? Oh. Yeah, here's Eugene. Yeah. They effing stole $400 billion from us. These internet service providers steal $400 billion from the consumer, and we don't get what we're promised. But consolidation is why your internet's faster. Get a frickin' clue. Do what I do, keep the arguing and the insulting separated. That's right, Zubair. The United States ranks 27th in global internet connectivity. Man, all that consolidation. Woo! We're screaming to the front of the line. 27th. Stole billions from the government. Yeah, come on. I sit here and defend internet service providers. Yeah, I'm on YouTube. If you guys feel like you're getting ignored, I'm sorry. It's impossible for me to do both. Right now, Tickety Talk is mainly meant to say, hey, you like me? Use my profile, click on the link, and come to YouTube. It's so hard to pay attention to both. I need a stream key from the Tickety Talk, and I can't get them. Thank you, Colby, for all the gifts you've sent today. I appreciate the support over here. I'm sorry. I'm doing the best I can. I got 600 to 700 some odd people hanging out in YouTube just boxing with me, and I hope it's entertaining enough that you're like, okay, he doesn't read our comments. But East Coast Overlord with a $5 tip. It takes time is how our cybersecurity got behind China and other countries by a projected 10 years. I don't care for that platitude. America ranks in low almost everything except for military spending. That's enough. That's enough. But you are right. It's a complicated issue, but consolidation definitely didn't help. We're definitely behind where we would be. Okay, imagine, so a long time ago, I had a cable company. It was a local company, and they were called Insight. And imagine if Insight wanted to remain competitive and wanted to remain sort of like on the forefront of, well, you know, AT&T's got DSL and satellite internet, right? All these things come, you know, all these things making us, we want to advance. You know what they would have done? They would have probably procured funding to invest in the advancement of the infrastructure, and then they could have charged us more, and then that funding could have been paid back to the people that invested in the industry. Do you see how that works? Like either venture capitalists or banks or somebody would have said, hey, internet's becoming endemic to daily life. We want to improve it. We want to innovate. We want an infrastructure that is more advanced. Invest in us. That's not what happened. What happened was a big company came in and bought Insight, and then a bigger company came in and bought that company. Insight literally switched to this company, and I think within 6 months switched to another company. My internet got faster, but it's not better. It's not more reliable. It's not good comparatively to the global standards that are out there. Yeah, they did all this 10 years ago. I only mean it's complicated because infrastructure falling behind is also somewhat natural. If we industrialize 50 years before another country, our base will be behind. Sure, because as another city, like the urbanization of the world, if urbanization happens now, it's like building a new house now. The tech and the electrical and all of the energy efficiency stuff gets built into the foundation of the house and the walls and everything. So yeah, you urbanize, you industrialize a city. Now it's going to have all that stuff endemically built into it. So sure. We can't get trains to run right. And China and Japan have had bullet trains for years. Right. Yeah. Omar is right. You know why he had competing cell phone tech for years, but all of Europe was on one standard? Because we built it out first without competing companies. Obviously, copper gets replaced by fiber, but that's at a snail's pace compared to a revolution led by government's nationwide effort. So, the point is, to take it all the way back to what was stated, if you're looking at the Xbox Activision deal and you're saying, oh, this is going to be good for the consumer, historically speaking, this level of consolidation has not been good for us. Now, it hasn't been universally bad either. It hasn't been like universally bad, like, oh, internet's garbage and cell phones garbage, right? But think about the fact that, like, I still have issues with cell phone coverage. How dropped calls and I can't make a call. Why? Well, infrastructure, baby. They oversell neighborhoods, they oversell nodes, they oversaturate nodes. Like, because what are you gonna do? Where are you gonna go? Are you going to go to them? Yeah, they have the same problems. If internet companies weren't consolidated, says Eugene, instead of colluding to pocket $400 billion in government funding, they would have been forced to compete. A bunch of them wouldn't have concluded. They would have taken the opportunity to get ahead. Right. They would have taken that money and said, this is how we get ahead of our competitors. We're going to take these monies and we're going to invest them. Get off cricket. I'm on AT&T. Right? I'm on AT&T. Or the Faraday cage that you live in? What do you mean? I literally have AT&T. I have people that have Verizon And when I'm at their house, they get great coverage, I get bad coverage. I have people that come to my house, they have Verizon, they get bad coverage, I get good coverage. Come on. Colluded. They worked together to screw people over. Well, yeah. I mean, that's the point, isn't it? That when companies get to this size, they can start to work together to shove us out. Early first-person shooter design values the speed above all else. Oh, this game looks really, really cool. It's called Post Void. I think they're offering me a key. Maybe did they give me a key somewhere in here? I think they might be offering a key. Yeah, I can request it on terminals. It actually looks really cool. The art style, it's called Post Void. It looks really cool. I think they reached out to me for a contract, and I completely forgot. AT&T Fiber changed my life. The first competitor, Xfinity, has had my entire life. I've had internet 3 times faster at half the cost. You can't convince me consolidation is a good thing. Durs2 with the $10 tip. Thank you, Discord mods, for assisting me. Barrier, Talika, Sven, and Smashville. Well, Smashville's not a mod, but he's a good dude. Well, did they get you all sorted out, Durs? Thank you for the $10 super chat tip. You seen Shroud and Sacriel are making a game? Does it include Shroud's aimbot? I'm just kidding. Yeah. Yeah, and they're community reps. They're not mods. We don't. They enjoy being community reps. They're not trying to be moderators. Valheim is better than Post Void. It's a fact. They're not even the same games. Post Void is like a cartoony, cool shooter. What? Man, do I miss companies like Singular? Man, I loved working for Singular. I did. I liked working for Singular. Come on, that's just a rumor. I miss Radio Shack. Yeah, Radio Shack, unfortunately, was basically just like, you know how every house has the junk drawer of cables? Radio Shack was just the junk drawer of cables. It's like, I need this cable, babe. Well, go to Radio Shack, honey. You know what I'm saying? I'm joking. Calm down. It's a terrible joke. Calm down. You know what? I've just decided. Yeah, I'm just over it. Over it. Say, like, people come in, they just say dumb stuff to get a reaction, and you tell me to calm down? I'm done with it. I'm done with it. Done with the disruption and, like, the poking and the gaslighting. Some of you guys, it's just, I can tell something's going on. I can tell you're on some other wavelength. You're not here to have a good time in a conversation. You're here to try to, like, I don't know, clip snipe me or something. I'm not sure what it is. I do want to take a look at something, though, before we completely shift gears. In the discussion of the Xbox Activision deal. They're dropping like flies today. Yeah, because I'm telling you, the only way conversations like this and shows like this can happen is we have to have a threshing floor, and the threshing floor is rising. It 100% is rising. If you're not up here, you're done. You got to come at me at this level of respect, or you're done. So, there's a thread that I want to look at with you guys just sort of very quickly. I wanted this to be included in the show. It's going to be happening kind of late here, but I do think this is important. The Xbox Activision deal and mobile, I think we need to read through this just very quickly. Okay, so this guy, Deke Tweak, has, I think, a very, very good thread. He says, Microsoft's new pro-merger fact sheet reveals how much its competitors make from mobile games. Mobile gaming has always been a big part of the Microsoft Activision merger rationale. Microsoft has ambitions far beyond Call of Duty, okay? So, note that Newzo is listed as the source for this data, and some, if not all, may not be from Microsoft directly. The Microsoft Activision merger isn't just about taking on Sony. It's not just about acquiring Call of Duty, a unique sales phenomenon. Microsoft's real ambitions are to take on the entire games industry. How? Using powerful, flexible content to accelerate its plans. He goes on to say, Microsoft has expressed interest in creating a kind of universal storefront platform that unifies all platforms together. Think about Microsoft having the Windows Store on Android and iPhone where it could sell games or content and subscriptions. The logistics are very tough, but that's a rough idea of what Microsoft may try to do. Expect Microsoft to use all the tools at its disposal: AI, ads, extra value through aggressive pricing, massive interconnected infrastructure of services or hardware. In short, mobile gaming is huge, and Microsoft wants a piece of it. Sony does too. Here's a look at Tencent, Apple, and Google mobile gaming revenues as per the data from Microsoft's fact sheet. So you can see here, $32 billion for Tencent, $15 billion for Apple, and $12 billion for Google. So really, we should keep an eye on Tencent. Really, we should be keeping an eye on Tencent. I mean, that's my opinion. Here's a look at the global market share percentages of these three gaming companies based on the provided revenues. All right? So this is what it's all about. Right? This is what it's all about. I'm going to give that guy one more chance. I'm going to give him one more chance. I'm just tired of feeling like people are messing with me. I feel like people are gaslighting me. Like they say something, they get me to respond, they're like, calm down. Like I don't know. That's just so triggering. I feel like somebody's trying to poke and pull strings to get me to react. I'd buy Tencent for $1. Yeah, I just wanted to make sure we included that guy's thread because I think that guy's thread is extremely telling. It's like, oh, wow. This is really where the money is. And Microsoft's doing a stellar job of completely distracting everybody from it. Nobody's looking at it. Like, nobody's looking at mobile. I've said this in almost every show that I've done on this. Mobile's the real decision here, the decision maker here. That's really what they're looking for. When is Apple going to weigh in? When is Google going to weigh in? When is China going to weigh in? I don't know. It's so bizarre. Eastwood said the tools are coming. I'm not sure what you mean. Kiddos needed me. What's too long? Didn't read on that. This guy just does a really good rundown of all of the revenue, all of the things that you could that could basically be disrupted and sliced up if Microsoft, gets their hands in this market. You think TikTok gets sold off? I don't know. I don't have any idea what's going to happen with the Tickety Talk. I don't think Tickety Talk's long for the Western world because the governments are taking action. They're going to have to start handing over the data or they're going to get shut down. If they can't hand our user data over to like a US based database and company, then it'll get shut down because you can't. The CCP can go and get anything they want. Lono is baptizing all these incredulous people with bad info. Wait, I'm giving out bad info? Or you're saying I'm baptizing the people who have the bad info? People have been saying Sony's being smart about this, but Microsoft jumped on the COD thing and has distracted everyone. Yeah, every hand wave, every hand wave, every $10 contract, 10-year contract. Yo, what's good, Sven? Government's pressuring the shareholders to sell off or be banned. Just saw it today. Everyone's watching the banks. Well, yeah, I saw a good summary of that situation though with the one bank. I think he was like it was all venture capitalists. Like that's why it happened. It wasn't a normal bank. They might weigh in, but it could be that Apple and Google need to get everything in order to make sure their arguments, maybe. That's just my assumption, because if they do, they'll want it to be shut down. Well, that's the question, though, is like, if Yeah, it's already banned from federal government phones. Yeah, if you're a federal employee, you can't have the tickety talk on your phone. Yeah, yeah. National security risk. What was I going to respond to? What was it? Oh, yeah. Apple and Google. My thought on that is maybe they're just waiting for Sony to be done. I'm not sure. I truly don't know. We're talking about banning it completely unless the Chinese shareholders sell their shares. The U.S. government is telling them that whether your Chinese shareholders sell or not, we will ban the app. They have offices in the U.S. and processors to run the U.S. consumers. Has that officially happened? Because that's what was requested, and then they were dragging their feet on it. I've not paid any attention to whether or not it took place. Hilly says, nope, they can't weigh in. Like, what do you mean, Hilly? Do they have to wait their turn kind of a thing? And once Sony's done, can they step up to the plate? Because Google and NVIDIA had their own criticisms or their own concerns, and then NVIDIA backed off because they got a deal. If ABK is approved, do you think someone like Apple will buy Sony PlayStation? No. Sony cannot be purchased by a non-Japanese entity, a non-Japanese company. It's the law over there. It's the law. Like, you can't, Apple couldn't buy them, Amazon couldn't buy them. It's not possible. Japanese government would not allow for that to happen. To bolster the first better or best argument, let's also remember that Psychonauts 2 version PS5 owners got was the PS4 version. Yeah. You'll point that out, Justin, and what that argument always turns into, yeah, but Sony does the same thing. And it's like, why would Apple do that anyway? What do you mean? Why would they push back against it? What do you mean a European company bought Budweiser? Anything is possible? That has nothing to do with what I said. A European company buying Budweiser is not related to a Japanese company being sold to an American company. Like, literally research this and just stop. The Japanese government is not going to allow Apple or Amazon or anybody to buy Sony. Jiminy. It was a joke? Oh, you're literally saying, like, anything can happen, bro. Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny to have... But I didn't realize Budweiser actually got bought by a European company. I missed that one. Finally happening. We're making a game. Why would they name their... Why would they name it Asterd? All the Office jokes. Asterd. Astrid. Oh, brother. What are they doing? What are they doing? Press release. The Future Games Show showcase powered by Turtle Beach. It's packed with 45 games. Okay. Oh, Witchfire's going to be there. Nice. Receive a special asset pack and a chance to be listed on Games Radar. Apply here. Yeah, we need to do that. I'm not going to do that right now. We've always been one of the official co-streamers of that event. I don't know if we're going to be able to do it or not. It's always a joke or somebody's brother had the phone. Always something. Yeah. Always something. Like a decade ago, that happened to Budweiser? Yeah, I didn't know that. China requires local co-ownership of companies. Did you conflate them? No, I didn't say anything about co-ownership. I'm fairly certain that a Japanese company cannot be purchased by a non-Japanese company. I'm fairly certain that's law over there. Can't buy Japanese company. I know we read this at one point in time. Oh, no, this is saying they can. That's Quora. Microsoft can't buy Capcom. Plenty of Japanese. Xbox is very unlikely to buy big Japanese studios. I swore when we looked at Japanese developers potentially getting bought by Western studios, somebody said it's not possible. That is correct. You're 100% right. It looks like there's examples of it happening in the past. Certain companies are protected, says Wheezy. Yeah, I was fairly certain that Sony can't be bought by... Not all. Tango was bought. Okay, so some can be. Okay, maybe it's just Sony then. Maybe I'm getting confused. I thought for sure that it was, no, yeah, you can't. They won't let you. They're literally not allowed. There are 3 types of Japanese companies. 2 of those are protected, and majority of ownership has to be Japanese. The 3rd type can be bought. Okay, there you go. I'm getting educated on this. I thought it was all. Japan to limit ownership of firms in its tech and telecom sectors. An article from CNBC about this in 2019. Japan buys stocks in their companies to prevent takeovers, so it prevents Japan selling their stock. The 2 that are protected are those considered important to national security, and Sony falls into the highest protected tier. Okay. Yeah, so there's legitimate mountains of red tape preventing Sony, Sega, Toyota can't be bought. Yeah. Tango was a Japanese startup funded by Zenimax. Zenimax was subsequently purchased by Microsoft. Got it. Got it. I mean, it makes sense. Like, if you think about it, it makes sense. That doesn't seem odd to me. Ubisoft is a protected company under French law. So do you think that I speculated for a while that Ubi might get scooped up by Sony because they would give them a similar deal that they got with Bungie? Because Ubi's like, yeah, we're open to this, but we would want to remain independent. Well, Bungie got bought and they're remaining independent. I mean, for now, I don't know what Sony, I don't know if Sony can shift any of those lines or renegotiate. Konami too. Why are we yelling again? How are you, Touch of Snow? It's weird to call you Touch of Snow. I'm just going to call you Snow. How are you, Snow? They have to go through the government and the industry. This applies to the country of France. Oh, okay. So France. Sony is protected. It's under national security clause. Top Shot with a 2 spot. Foxconn bought Sharp, so you are incorrect. It's been established through fact, research, and reports that I'm not incorrect. I was incorrect when I said all Japanese companies. Speaking to Sony getting bought by an American company, you can't do it. Their government wouldn't let you. You know what I mean? Good you, Fam Bam. Oh, Fam's good. Fam's good, Snow. Thailand have something similar. I think 51% of the shareholders must be Thai national. Huh. That's a pretty slick strategy to prevent anybody coming in and buying them up from another country. I think that's pretty slick. Let's be independent together. Yes, let's be independent together. That's how it works. Activision tried it about 10 years ago, and the French government blocked it. Really? I did not know that. Huh. That's weird that Ubi came out and said they're open to being bought then. I wonder what they're thinking. Like, I guess it had to be a big French company or something, unless they're vying for the law to be changed or something. I don't know. Koei Tecmo, Capcom, and Sega are not protected because they were approached by Microsoft and many others before, and their presidents made it known that they will be acquired in the future. Oh, so those companies can be? Yeah, Wheezy was saying no, you can't. Ubisoft is complex. Well, at least he said Sega can. We have the TikTok bandit sighting. She's here. The attacks were bound to happen as soon as you got bigger. Sucks other content creators debase themselves instead of engaging in a friendly manner. Who's attacking me now? I'm not even paying any attention to it. All they do is drive more people to me. Oh, you're talking about my tweet. You're talking about my tweet this morning, Hex? Like I said, bring it. Like, you're not going to do anything. The people that have decided that they hate me aren't going to change their mind. Right? Link blocks. Spill the tea. Was looking up the dude behind Reforge after watching him on YouTube. If you want to burn an hour, Google it. Crazy stuff. Oh, I'm gonna. You should. There's even an exposed video. It's wild. Is he talking in my favor, I wonder? Or is he talking... I wonder which way he's going. Yeah, nobody... I didn't even have Twitter open. I'm closing it. Like, all they're going to do is send people to me. Like, the people that have written me off and will never give me the time of day... You're just gonna, what, you're re-entrench their hatred? I saw you through Jez Corden? Yeah, like, seriously. If it's from, like the sycophantic, like, Destiny fan base, it's like, he's terrible! I never would... They would never come and watch me. So, like, re-ingratiating their hate doesn't do anything to me. But everybody else in the world who has a brain and can research it or watch, Upper Echelon's video... They're just going to come and be a fan. Like I said, bring it on. You can't win. You insulate me, you block me, or you try to tell people not to watch me. You make me way more interesting than you. I love being hated. It reminds me I'm doing something right. I live rent-free. Yeah, it doesn't bother me at all. The tide is turned. Like, I'm not scared. You can't scare me out of here. You can't run me off. Quick, reach out to my coffee sponsor and try and get him to drop me. It's mine. Quick, get on the phone. Let him know. For reference, the Japanese law is up to Japanese discretion. Even hot springs are protected by the law. Incorrect, by the way. Capcom ETC was before the law was enacted. Oh, okay. Great stream. Keep up the great work. Thank you, Scott. What are they going to do? Yeah, what are you going to do? All you're going to do is wake up the world to being like, oh, I forgot about that guy. I'm going to go check him out. I'm going to go check him out. He seems like a nice guy. I told them I'd have you canceled by noon. Creature's like, I'll take it all down. I don't want to work with him anymore. Did Apple buy the PlayStation division? Yeah, I don't know. They could. Apple and Amazon probably have enough money. I just don't see it happening. I just really, really don't see it happening. I owe you guys 5 members currently. I owe you 5 members. I'm going to gift them. We're going to do a premiere about Starfield. I'm not doing it right now. But I could owe you 10 if this hits 50. If you guys want to go a little crazy, you want to keep getting closer to that Just Dance stream, feel free. You got a little bit of time. But I'm going to gift them in the premiere. It'll give people a reason to go watch the premiere. My premiere, you're going to really like my premiere. I did a bunch of research on Starfield. Do you think the ABK deal is going to fail? Johnny, I think it's more likely to go through than fail, because Microsoft seems to be pretty aggressively trying to get it to go through, which means I don't think we've hit the full fever pitch of concessions. Like, I don't think we've hit the full fever pitch of concessions. I think there's more and bigger concessions coming. That's actually related to my Starfield video that's going to go live on my YouTube channel today. It's related. What's the member count right now? Let me tell you. It's definitely going through. Sony doesn't have a real leg to stand on. I don't understand why people keep saying Sony doesn't have a leg to stand on. Sony's pushback has led to monumental concessions. 6 months ago, Microsoft was like, we'll give you a 3 extra year deal. And Sony's been like, no, your deal sucks. No. And look at what's happening. Microsoft's now handing a 10-year deal to anybody who will take it. We are at 25.47. Rainbow just gifted 5, taking us to 38. We will do a members-only stream after the Starfield video. So if you want to be a part of that discussion and that debrief, make sure you become a member. So yeah, we are at 25.47. Well, with that 5, we're at 25.53. So you're 400 something members away from the Just Dance stream. You guys would have to go bonkers crazy. We've been maintaining, which is good. You're keeping yourself within reach of the 3,000 milestone. When you're on record saying, I don't want a deal, I want it to fail, you're not arguing in good faith? Do you understand what good faith means? Like, that's not what that term means. When they said, I don't want a new Call of Duty deal, I'm here to block your merger, that has nothing to do about good faith. Sony hasn't been shy about that. That wasn't news. Like, Sony hasn't been shy about the fact that they're against the deal. Lurking BRB. Okay. They've been openly against the deal from moment one. It'd be cool if we get a packet of Reforge giveaway every now and again. We're going to give away coffee to whoever gifts the most members every month. Quiet Shy is tallying that for us every month. You got to keep that 2,500 for Star Wars. What did we say? What did we say was the cutoff for Star Wars? Did we have to get to the 15th or the 16th? Which means you guys got it. I mean, you're past the halfway point in the month. They're arguing they're afraid of getting blocked from COD. Xbox gave them an offer. They said, no, that's bad faith. No, it's not. That's not the definition of bad faith. If I offer you a deal that you think is bad and you say, I don't want the deal, that's not arguing from bad faith. You're using that term in a way that's not how bad faith works. We're going to give free coffee to the people with the most disposable income. I mean, what am I supposed to do? I don't like doing giveaways. I don't. It can't be bad faith if Sony is being true to their position from the beginning. Yeah, it's not bad faith. Yo, Tiny Dinies and Roses. Thank you, Colby. They're being honest about wanting the deal blocked. That's actually remarkably honest. Right. Like, they're brazenly honest. You can't call that bad faith. I got lawyer cancer. If the argument is losing a game and they aren't losing the game, then there is no argument. No, that's a false binary. You're creating a false binary or a false dichotomy. If they're worried about losing the game and Microsoft's like, oh, no worries, we'll give you this offer, and it's a bad offer. It's a worse offer than they currently have. There is an argument. I'm going to help you out because everybody gets off in left field on this. If Burger King was trying to buy Coca-Cola and they were going to give McDonald's a contract that would let McDonald's keep Coca-Cola in their restaurants, but it was a worse deal than McDonald's has right now, they have every right to reject the offer and also try to block the acquisition. Why? Because Coca-Cola is endemic to the revenue streams of McDonald's, and their competitor buying Coca-Cola could irreparably harm them. So Microsoft trying to buy Call of Duty and Sony saying, listen, we got a great thing going with Call of Duty right now. We don't want this to happen. Oh, well, we'll give you this deal. I don't want your deal. I've got a great deal right now. The whole mentality and the whole narrative of they're scared or they're mad or they're angry or they're crying, you're projecting emotion onto a multi-billion-dollar corporation who is legally obligated to protect its revenue streams, and that's all they're doing. Your inability to see that is your own fault. They're literally doing what they're legally obligated to do. And you can't see that because it's personal. They're mad. They're angry. Why are you talking in personal language like Sony's some petulant child that walked into the room? They're a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Jim Ryan has a legal obligation to do what he is doing. That's what he's required to do it. If he fails to protect the revenue streams and the profit margins of Sony, he could be fired or he could be sued. They're like, what are you doing? The shareholders would say, what are you doing? You're obligated to protect us and our pockets. Thoughts on this? Anyone who gives 10 subs in a month gets entered into the drawing. Someone randomly gets picked. I don't mind that. That's not bad. We could maybe make it a little bit lower. Anybody who gives 5, gets entered into the drawing. We'd have to have Quiet Shy go back and tally anybody who's above 5. It's not the coffee. The coffee is a symbol of our love. That you can brew and drink, which now that I've written that is kind of gross. When Sony loses and Xbox decides to take COD away, that's a good business decision. Do you honestly think that Call of Duty will get taken away from Sony after Xbox buys them? Xbox has their own fiduciary duty to protect their revenue streams, and if they buy a company for $70 billion and 13% of Activision's annual revenue came from Sony, 48% of the people who buy Call of Duty buy it on Sony. If you cut off those revenue streams once you own Activision Blizzard, I think that your shareholders would have something to say about that. Like the Microsoft shareholders would say, what are you doing? You stand to lose millions of dollars. Like, Microsoft is acting. Listen, if Microsoft could be like, oh, we're just going to take Call of Duty away from Sony once the deal goes through because they didn't accept our deal, that's not going to work with the regulators. The regulators are basically going to basically say, what if Sony doesn't accept your deal? What are you going to do? Not really. They stand to gain millions of gamers. Not according to Xbox. Xbox has conceded that they're counting on the revenue of Call of Duty from the Sony platform, and they've conceded in documents to both Brazil and CMA that they can't convert Sony users to their platform. That's not part of the plan. They'd see a huge influx of money based on COD players converting to Xbox. No, they wouldn't. No, they would. They would. You're missing the forest for the trees. If Microsoft succeeds in buying Activision Blizzard, they immediately get all of the revenue streams from Call of Duty on the Sony platform. Cutting off those revenue streams in the hopes that people would convert to Xbox, you would have to justify that from a business strategy and a market analysis that would tell you we're not going to lose money, we're going to make more money. Because if not, your fiduciary duty to your shareholders would say you're going to lose millions of dollars. You're going to lose more than you gain, therefore you can't do this. The shareholders and the board would get in the way. They would say, you're going to lose way more. 48% of the people who buy Call of Duty buy it on Sony. You're not getting all those people to come to Xbox, ergo, you're going to lose millions of dollars. That's why Phil Spencer can say in an interview, we never had a model of this where we would rip Call of Duty off a PlayStation. Why? Because that's so much money. There is no model where they do that. There is no model where they do that and come out ahead. They're using Call of Duty as a distraction. It's a red herring. Dude, don't make it most gifted. If you jump in on your own, you get entered into the coffee drawing. I mean, we could do that too. Somebody threw out the idea of tallying up gifteds and giving coffee to whoever gave the most. We don't have to do it that way. It wasn't even my idea. Some people don't understand business. Taking COD from Sony is the dumbest decision. When Microsoft is literally saying that their model for this is not taking it from them, because of the revenue that they would be getting from it, and that they don't think through market analysis, they don't think they could convert people from Sony to Xbox anyway. Not in large enough quantities. That's why they make it crossplay? Yes. This is why today's coverage, Xbox is refusing like 24 requests of the FTC. The FTC wants to look at their crossplay documents because they want to know what their future plans are for Zenimax and Call of Duty, and Microsoft is refusing. So that's why they're doing a motion to compel, because the FTC is like, we need to get a look at this stuff. It's part of your argumentation. Part of your argumentation is Zenimax and crossplay and Call of Duty. You've really got to think about that aspect. Like, everybody keeps saying, Microsoft didn't lie. They didn't lie. They said case-by-case basis. You're absolutely right. After they bought Zenimax Bethesda, they did say they were going to handle it as a case-by-case basis. It's not a case-by-case basis to, as soon as you own Zenimax, walk out into the public and say, yeah, these are all exclusive titles. That's not case-by-case. That's all of them. All of them. Elder Scrolls, Starfield, Redfall, all of them. How is that case-by-case? They also argued crossplay, and the FTC is like, you use similar argumentation with Zenimax. We want to see your documents. And Microsoft's not showing them the documents. I don't wonder why. I was speaking to this last night. I don't know why some people think this is Sony's only chance to keep COD. Well, look at what they're doing, Eugene. From the public's perspective, Sony's being isolated. They gave a deal to this people, deal to this people, deal to this people. Everybody's getting a Call of Duty deal. Pfft, Sony's about to get left out in the cold. No, they're not. No, they're not. No, they're not. Like, but that's what the public is being. That's the communication of that. That's the communication of that. Is like most gifted members gets bragging rights. That was the original idea. Yeah, the original idea was Quiet Shy was going to go tally up most gifteds, and we'd give them bragging rights. We were going to give them the Eknor Award. Eknor is someone that we believe passed away, and he was like one of the most generous people to the channel, and we believe he has set a DNA and a culture here of giftings. I mean, if we get 12 more, I owe you guys 10. Like, we're on the doorstep of a double banger again. PlayStation is half of Call of Duty, half. Right, don't get it twisted. It's like that Rorschach quote. I'm not locked in here with you, you're locked in here with me. Sony's like, are you freaking serious? You really are coming at us with these weak, vague offers? You need us. You can't cut us off. Are you kidding me? We're half of the audience that buys Call of Duty, and you want to come at us with vague parody offers and an additional 3 years? Now you see. Now you see why back in September, Jim Ryan said, that offer is completely inadequate. Are you kidding me? Do you know who we are? We're Sony PlayStation. We make up half of the people who buy COD. And you're going to give us some piddly little offer of an extra 3 years? Sit down. And Microsoft is 100% moving to the middle of the table. They're conceding every other day. Oh, a 10-year plan here, 10-year, 10-year, 10-year. Everybody gets a 10-year. And I love that people say that Sony is desperate. Sony's desperate. Yeah, Sony's the one throwing a 10-year contract to anybody with a pen. If Microsoft cut off Sony from COD, COD would stop being COD. It would wither. Half your audience would be irritated. All right, hang on a second. All right, I don't think we're going to hit the 50. You guys have, I'm going to give you like 2 minutes to hit the 50. If you want to get 12 more members, I'm going to gift the members that I owe you in a premiere. I'm scheduling the premiere right now. It's about Starfield. I think it's going to be a timed exclusive, and you guys have got to let me get my argumentation in. I think you guys are going to really like this video. I think Starfield is going to be a timed exclusive. I think I've got a good amount of research that points to it. I think I have a good amount of research that points to Starfield being a timed exclusive. And I'm going to send you guys there in just a moment. And if you want to watch that video and you're on the Tickety Talk, you need to come over to click the profile and come over to my YouTube channel, because I can't show it to you on the Tickety Talk. It's an upload. Yeah, we'll do members after the Starfield video. We will do members after the Starfield video. If you guys want to debrief and discuss, you want to debate me on whether or not Starfield ends up being a timed exclusive, you got to be a member. That's a good reason to be a member. You're going to miss out on discussion. It's $5 a month to be a member. I'm going to gift 5 members during the premiere. So head over to the Starfield premiere when we leave in like a minute, and you might get a gifted membership over there. Because I currently owe you guys 5. How long? I don't have a guess on length. That's not what my video is about. I don't guess the length. Giggity. Okay, the redirect's going to happen in about a minute, okay? In about a minute. We don't have time to hit 50. That's totally fine. This is amazing. Don't sweat it. Tons of new people got in. Tons of new people be a part of the discussion, okay? I'm going to put a link in chat. Redirects sometimes don't work for people, so if you don't want to be redirected to this Starfield premiere, click the link in chat, okay? You want to click the link in chat. That way, you don't miss out, because redirects sometimes don't work. If the redirect doesn't work, Starfield video will be the featured video on the channel, okay? Do me a favor. Click the link or ride the redirect, smash that like button when you get over there, and make sure and leave a comment. If you enjoyed this talk show, make sure and come back later and leave a comment as well. That helps out the video. The past broadcasts don't get any comments because you guys said everything you wanted to say during the chat. It's really great for you to come back later, maybe summarize your thoughts on the discussion and what you thought. Leave that comment on this broadcast once it's done. Head over to the Starfield premiere. Make sure you smash the like button here as well as over there. I'll see you guys over there in the chat. Starfield's going to be a time exclusive. Let's go discuss it, and then I'm going to hang out with members after that video is over. You guys in the Tiki Talk, head over.